Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people require too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as, like, your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
All right. Peace, family. Welcome back to the Pro-Black Perspective. Today we're going to talk about Neely Fuller Jr. Okay? I thought I wrote Neely Fuller, but we're going to talk about Neely Fuller Jr. We're going to use the help of Hip Hop Cartoons, who's actually live right now. They're showcasing their cartoons, which is pretty cool. If you guys don't know, this is a artist who uses a lot of sound samples. Okay, check out this channel. He has members, so you guys can join his membership if you will. And he kind of just makes cartoons based off of audio clips. Most of them are Neely Fuller, so that's like the only negative side, but otherwise the animation quality is pretty unique. It communicates the point, and Neely Fuller, for what it's worth, is still talking. He's still alive. Could be damn 90 years old now, 100 years old, who knows. He's still talking, still saying nothing, but still talking. I just see it's Piccolo, right? Anyway, so you can see these are his videos. These are his latest videos. Neely Fuller. Most of them are Neely Fuller. This right here is Sean Price. Don't know who that is. Probably a rapper, I think. I'm not sure. This is Mop by featuring Rascast. Those are definitely rappers. So it looks like he made some music videos. Pretty interesting stuff. So you guys could go check it out. Go subscribe if you wish. I guess I'm not subscribed, but I thought I was. But these are his oldest videos if you want to go back in time Oh, okay, this was the number one video he ever made. Um, Math versus Dose, which is two rappers. So I guess he started off, Kanye West at the VMA Awards. What is this one? I don't remember that. But Tupac, Juice, and then Malcolm X. I guess he just kind of like he got into Neely Fuller and kind of didn't look back 9 years ago, which is good. But anyway, so what we're gonna do to be objective and I already opened up my pages I wanted to use, but I'm going to show you guys where they are. So these are his most popular videos, and you see the most popular is Math versus Dose 15 years ago, but 3 years ago he also did a Neely Fuller, which is Thugs Listen Up. After that, the next most popular is Godfrey's I'm Not Black, I'm Dominican, which you guys all know. It's a little funny. And then, of course, the 139,000 views, which is a really good amount of views, is Neely Fuller's What White Culture Teaches Black Males. Then, of course, he has a whole bunch more. Obama, you got Malcolm X, you got Rampage versus Silva, which actually I might want to watch that another time. But You Stole My Newspaper. I don't know. Maybe this is a joke or something. I don't know. Either way, we're going to then jump down to this one. I know, right? Pause. But this is my memory of, like, I can't remember. Somebody showed me some of these Neely Fuller things. I think I saw one of them. So this one I actually remember. So we're gonna jump into all of that. So make sure you guys show your support to this brother. But before that, also, well, not even before that, but separately, you can also show some support for this channel. And here we're gonna just show you what I'm talking about right before that. Oh wait, what was it? There you go. As far as I can tell, only 2 white people read my book. One, a college student, and the other, their professor. The professor praised the book as neatly organized and undoubtedly convincing. He then gave it 1 star, saying his peers won't mess with it. Every real African gave 5. Have you read the Book of Power? Hold on a second. So I'm looking at, I just remembered, I'm going to have to adjust this window. I totally forgot. I have, give me 2 seconds. Let me just adjust this window. Let me make it bigger for you guys, because it's on YouTube. That should be almost enough. Alright, good. Alright, so we're going to just jump into these videos. We're going to watch 3 of them. I'm going to pause, play, that kind of stuff, and then thing. So we're really looking to see, is Neely Fuller Jr. a joke? Does he hate black people? Does he watch too much TV? And so we're just going to review the top 3. Question, answer, yes. As far as does he watch too much TV, like, he's told us this. And you're going to kind of see that from this old man. So here, we're going to start it off and just play it through, all right?
But you see them walking down, picking up the sidewalk, act like they can whip everybody. Sure, they can whip somebody who looks just like them. Because that's permitted. Permitted by whom? The white supremacists. They don't care. Kill everybody in the neighborhood. So what? There's another black neighborhood gone. There's another one down the street, ready to go. What's the big deal? You better be careful about whose space you get into when you get carried away with what you can do to other black people. And what's pitiful about it is, most of us know that. Very few of us don't know that. We know whose space to get into. And we know just about how much backing we have.
Shame. Shame.
Black person in handcuffs. All kinds of tattoos. All kinds of long record for being able standing there in handcuffs in an orange jumpsuit in his best hairdo saying, "Yes, Your Honor." Why don't you use the kind of language toward Your Honor that you use with the people that you encounter right there in your neighborhood?
Well, all right. So, like, I get what he's saying. And this is the thing about it. Like, you're going to think about Neely Fuller Jr. I'm going to tell you. I don't want to say correct, but his analysis is really particular to America. Okay? Really particular to America. And, of course, really particular to if you don't go outside. If you don't go outside and you watch TV all day, like, this would be your impression of black people. Now, we just saw this, black guy jump over a lectern and start walloping on a white woman, which is just, random, honestly. But of course, it's against this whole notion. And so there is this documentary. I didn't watch it, but it's called, like, Destroy the Brute or something like that. And the idea is from this documentary that white people have something against brutes. Okay? Like one part of their society, one part of their civilization is to limit the number of brutes that walk around. Now, here's the thing. Like, the idea and the assumption there, I'm guessing, is that brutes are a natural part of human society. Okay? Naturally, you're going to find some humans, particularly men, right, who are bigger than even big men. Okay? Who are bigger than even big men, who are more aggressive than even aggressive men. And the question becomes, well, what do you do with those people, right? And in Western society, in Western social circles, what happens is this: the white brute goes into the police force, goes into law enforcement, and the black brute doesn't go into law enforcement. Okay, so these brutes who would, in let's say primitive societies, would, and it depends on what your impression of a primitive society is, but like particularly a primitive society of scarcity, right? In a primitive society of scarcity, these brutes might form gangs, might form hostile tribes, might form, conquerors, if you will, right? In a modern society, you're born into a society that doesn't really facilitate gangs, tribes, conquerors, per se. Then what you have is these brutes are going to, even though they're going to still have those inclinations, those power fantasies, they're going to have to charge them up against the more dominant society, right? So in coming up against the more dominant society, these brutes, they exist in this antagonist relationship. So what Neely Fuller Jr. is kind of saying is, hey, look, you can do this because you're white, and I'm black. But here's another thing to look at it right this. Like I said, one of the things we want to do is kind of look at things economically, right? All right, so white people, you're in a white man's country. Okay, let's just put it that way. You're in a white man's country. The white man has economic interest in certain parts of his country. Okay? Like, for instance, when we talk about New York City, what is the white man, like, which real estate is better for the white man, right? Is it Wall Street? Okay, Wall Street, where dignitaries from all over the world discussing the United Nations. Oh, not the United Nations, sorry. But I was talking about Wall Street. I was a little short-sighted. Is it where people from all over the world trade options and stocks for international businesses or national businesses, but including international businesses, right? Is it there where you obviously want the people to be You want the people that work there, who work for, Fortune 500 companies, to wander safely, or is it in Brownsville, right, where there's no there's no international economic activity, right? So, like, from an economic standpoint, like, let's just pretend that you are, in fact, let's pretend you're the mayor, okay? You're the mayor of the city, all right? Wall Street brings in, let's say, 40%. No, that's not even. It's not that high. I don't know. I don't know how many. Well, let's pretend for a second. Wall Street brings in 40, or even, 40% is a good number. 40% of your city's revenue. Okay, 40% of your city's revenue is coming from Wall Street, and then 0.3% of your city's revenue is going towards is coming from Brownsville. Okay, and you might say, well, no, it's got to be more than that. Okay, sure. Let's just pretend for let me actually give you some context. So in mathematics, a way to solve something, like an easy way to solve a problem, is to take an extreme case. Okay, so you don't have to take an accurate case in order to solve a problem. Sometimes you just have to, it's kind of like you use your common sense by taking the extreme case and then extrapolating from the extreme case, right? So you're in Wall Street, right? Wall Street is generating 40% of your revenue, and Brownsville is generating 0.3% of your revenue. Now, your police force is a part of your budget. That comes from your revenue. Okay, your budget obviously doesn't come from your revenue, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you use your budget to pay your revenue. Use your revenue to pay your budget, right? Or you pay your debts or whatever, right? Your expenses. Okay, so, or you'd want to balance those two out. Now, here's the thing. Your police are part of your law enforcement are part of your budget. Okay? Your law enforcement is a finite resource. Okay? Everything in this universe is finite. Okay? The universe itself is finite. Everything in this universe is finite. Your law enforcement is a exact number of people. Is an exact number of people. That said, what is your objective as mayor? What is your objective as mayor? Let me actually just make sure my mic's on. I just realized I don't even know if my mic's on. Okay, yeah. What is your objective as mayor if 40% of your revenue is coming from one area and 0.3% of your revenue is coming from another area, right? Well, one is to minimize crime, especially at the 40% area. And the other is to contain crime in the 0.3% area, right? Like, your main goal would be, I don't want any sort of criminality, and not necessarily that Wall Street people are not doing crime. I'm just saying, you don't want anything that goes against the economic activity, right? The economic flourishing in Wall Street. But then on top of that, you do not want, let's say if there are criminals, let's say you put all the criminals in one area, and then you have this hyper police area over there. You definitely, the most important thing there is to not have those criminals spill out. Okay? Now, you can then look at it and say, well, yeah, it's because the people in Wall Street are white, and it's because the people in Brownsville are black, right? And that's partly true. Okay? That's partly true. But, again, you want to look at it from an economic standpoint, and then you'll kind of get a better grasp of it. Yes, you can do violence and crime in the black area, because, for what it's worth, the black area is not dueling in international businesses. Now, does America want black people dealing in international businesses? Probably not. But of course, that is something that you have to also come to terms with, as long as you're in America. Like, as long as you're in America and your nation is saying, "Let me sabotage you on an international scale," right? Like that's like you have to just accept that, and you have to take it in strides. You know, but inventing ideas that it's because the white supremacy. White supremacists. It's like, well, no. I mean, it's just common sense that I could even put it this way, because like I said, it helps if you travel. So Neely Fuller Jr., I don't think this guy ever left America, honestly. But and he's like 90 fucking years old. But Neely Fuller Jr., like, it's like when you go to another part of the world. I'll say it this way, yeah. So when I was in Tanzania, right? There were power outages in Tanzania. It got so bad with the power allocation because essentially there was a shortage of energy, and so the government announced. I couldn't understand it, but somebody told me, and it was a lot of announcements that they're doing power rationing, and so there'll be certain days of the week, certain weeks, whatever. Certain days of the week, certain weeks of the month, whatever. Well, not weeks of the month, but certain days of the week where you will not have power for a good portion of the day. And what happens is this: the frequency of power outages depended on how economically feasible or how much economic activity your particular area generated. You understand? So if you were in the rich, let's say Masaki, right? You probably didn't experience too many power outages. And if you were in Dar es Salaam, the main city, you could expect, once or twice a week, even in the poor areas. Like I was in kind of like a poor area, and we were having like twice a week or something like that, right? When I went out of Dar es Salaam, right, I went to Mbeya, this thing was like every other day. I mean, I think it was every day. Like you only got energy at night or something like that. Like, because we were sleeping at a what they call a guest house, right? Basically just an easy way to hook up, really, but it's cheap, cheap little hotel. But we were at a guest house, and yeah, they had to put on the backup generator. But power was almost always out, and you had to pretty much be outdoors all day, and then go into your house, and then so on and so forth. So it is very like one of the issues with African American scholarship, let's call it what it is that it doesn't factor in that, hey, you know what? Maybe you're part of a nation that has an economic motive. Like maybe you're part of a nation that has an actual economic motive, and you're not necessarily an economically productive people. That when Dr. King was pointing out that low skills and low skills was going to impact you going into the future, it wasn't like a joke. And the ramifications of not listening to Dr. King is such that, yeah, you're going to have a lot of low skilled people who, you call them thugs, but you got to say to yourself, what else would they be doing? And your whole argument, your whole what you're trained to say is they should be getting a job from whom? You understand? Like essentially, if your mechanism for survival is to beg the white man to provide for you, and the white man doesn't, then what? So yes, they should go get a job, and you might say, well, why doesn't he just build his own business? Okay, with what capital? Remember, they said that this is a gentleman who comes out of 9th grade fighting, right? So 9th graders, if we don't, let's just do the math. I mean, let's not do the math, but a 9th grade is probably a 12-year-old or something. I don't know. I don't do the public school system, but let's say 12, 14-year-old, right? Then after 9th grade, because let's say he drops out at 9th grade, he's 14 years old, but maybe I should look this up, but a 9th grader, he's 14, and then eventually, let's say he graduates at 12th grade, and he's 16 or 17 or what have you, right? Then, after he graduates from 17, after he graduates from 17, he's let me see something. After he graduates at 17, you're saying, okay, he can't go to work because he doesn't work because he doesn't have the skills. He just failed school or what have you. Now you're telling him, well, start a damn business. Okay. Now remember, he's 16, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? What is he starting a business with? What capital is he starting his business with? And you might say, well, why doesn't he do it with his allowance, I'm guessing, right? But who's to say he has allowance? Because I could tell you that when I was in school, I didn't have any money. I had no money. I did have one classmate who had a business of sorts, right? Where he would sell, spruce up cars and then, spruce up bikes and then sell those bikes. He was white and rich. Okay? He was white and rich. And so he could sell bikes that he, spruced up, pimp my ride type stuff. He could sell those to other white kids who were also rich. But this youth who's, 16 and 14, not good at school, his father's probably beating him up. If his father's around, his mother's yelling at him every day. He's no good, just like his father, right? You expect him to then, after he, drops out of school, barely knows math, barely knows reading, after that to then engage in a business. And what kind of business are you have in mind? Now, I'm not saying that he cannot engage in business. Of course he can. He could easily sell, those alcoholic beverages. People mix alcohol and juice and sell them in containers or something. He could easily, like I said, I don't know about the bike thing because I don't know who's buying, flossed out bikes. And obviously you could tell me, well, he might sell drugs. Okay. But that's where you run into the problem. Speaking of which, if you guys want my son to have some allowance, although my son, I'm not gonna hold you. He's not really doing allowance, but you guys right here, I think you guys can see it. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you guys tell that there's a Cash App running through on the bottom? Let me see. This is my Cash App window. I think the font might be too big. I'm gonna try to fix the font. I'll put it to 11. Yeah, see that's your Cash App. Cash App ABS only. You guys check it out. Look at all the stuff on the bottom of the banner, if you will. But yeah, I think it's a really, because the thing is that we tend to be harsh on these black youth. Maybe I should make it a different color. I don't know. Or maybe put an outline on it. I'll have to fix it later. But make sure you guys hit up the Cash App when you can, or buy the books, and definitely check out the other podcast programs on the thing. Oh yeah, and Revolutionary Matron came back, so make sure you guys Little Car says run that damn Cash App. Alright. He says, are you vacuuming? Nah, that's my what you guys call it? Radiator. It's cold in America. But anyway, so So yeah, I think it's really critical that we kind of just like really say to ourselves, what can we do economically for our people? You know, and of course, you can easily do something economically for our people. The only question is now check this out. What are the morals of this individual if you were to give them a job? Now, you can give them a job. That's the thing. But, and here's where it gets tricky. Everybody's morals are suspect. You know, I want you to realize that. Like, everybody's morals are suspect. And I think Brother Bakari is not going to, Brother Bakari is going to, because I can't remember, I think it was Coke who said something like, who can we trust, or something like that, or Brother Bakari might say, you know, we gotta talk good about black people, and we should. I want people to listen to this, and this is the advice that Marcus Garvey's father gave him, right? And I'm not gonna say it's a perfect advice. I think you know there are exceptions, right? There are some exceptions, right? But what I'm gonna say is that Marcus Garvey's father told him, or the scene is this: Marcus Garvey's out in Marcus Garvey's father's like for instance, like let's say what's the job that his father got? His father, intellectual man, lots of books, all that kind of stuff, right? Descendant of Maroons, or possibly a Maroon himself, right? His father gets a job digging graves. You know, now obviously the thug in front of us is digging graves too, but in a different way, right? But his father is digging graves, right? And so one day he takes his son out to, you know, show him the work. I don't know. Who knows? Well, we know why he took his son out, but, you know, Marcus Garvey, little boy, doesn't understand, right? So his father's digging graves with his son. Then he climbs up the ladder and says, hey, hold on, I'll be right back. He pulls away the ladder, and he leaves his son there overnight. Now, I don't plan on doing that to my son, okay? But when he comes back, he says, look, you know, Marcus Garvey, don't trust anyone. Okay? Do not trust anyone. And it's like, and again, it's not that you cannot trust anyone, but you have to have, well, there's two things. There's some people you can trust, obviously, right? But the other part of it is you have to have security when you're trusting people. You have to have a backup plan. You know, you don't say, hey, look, you know, let's both climb down, you know, the ditch, and you climb up without me. You know, and I don't have my hands on the ladder for some reason. You know, or there's not a second ladder, so that when you pull up the first ladder, oh, it's okay because now I know to climb up the second ladder. You know what I'm saying, right? Or there's not like a little ladder on the bottom of the thing. You know, you gotta trust people so far. And so even if you are hiring these people, you got to remember, well, you know, be a little caution. And again, it has nothing to do with the black male. It has nothing to do with the black American. Because I'm telling you guys, I was just talking to the sister in Tanzania, okay? And she has this this business. Now she hits me up for, they always hit me up for cash, and I always let them. Well, not always, but I used to. But now I'm kind of broke. So I guess I'll put the Cash App in the chat. What was it? $ ABS only. If you guys like to support, you know, business people in Tanzania. But what I'm going to say is this: the sister, you know, I told you I helped her with her bar, and she says, I help her with the bar, and she says, look, I found the best employee. I found a really good employee. This lady does not steal. She works all day. She works all day, blah, blah, blah. You know what she writes me yesterday? The lady stole. Okay? The lady stole from her. And if I can actually read the chat right here. I said, she said, the lady I hired, she took the money. I said, oh boy, exactly what I warned you about 2 days ago. And she says, yes, I do remember. You know, now of course she said I'll talk with the family. They told me to go back tomorrow so we can go back and pay. And then, you know, I asked her how much was it. It's not that much money, obviously. I said, where did she go? She said, I don't know. But the long story short is that even in Africa, even when you trust somebody and you know their family and you know this, so on and so forth, regardless, people will steal from you, and people can steal from you. if you let them. And that's just another important and critical lesson that you have. So that just factors in more so into why you might have this hostility between white and black, because white people are going to steal from white people, right? And black people are going to steal from black people. But black people are going to steal from white people, and white people are going to steal from black people. And it really becomes, and this is one of the more important things you got to realize, is this: sometimes when you're, there's a big difference between your brother breaking into your house and your brother's friend breaking into your house. You understand? There's a big difference between, a black person breaking into your house and a white person breaking into your house. And you have to, and with white people, it's like there's a big difference between a white person stealing from them and a black person stealing from them. Because one thing you got to pick up on when it comes to race relations in America is this: this white person has absolutely no reason to trust you. No reason. And you might think he does, but you've proven yourself to be trustworthy to him, of course. But he has absolutely no reason to trust you, and he doesn't even trust white folk. I remember telling you guys that story about this white boy. I remember I went to the bank. I don't know why this white boy decided to talk to me. We go on the ATM machine, just me and him, old white guy and me. Right? He's in front of me. He pulls out as much cash as he can pull out. Still, I'm a young black man, right? And we don't really. I'm not a thief, so I don't really care per se. I go to the machine. I'm trying to deposit some cash into it. And he notices this, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to put in this cash, so I can deposit because the bank's closed." I don't know why I told him all that, and he's like, "No, I wouldn't trust that machine." He's a white man. We're not friends. We don't know each other. You can mind his damn business. No. He's like, I wouldn't trust this machine. And I was like, okay. But I just want you guys to know that. I mean, because I think it's really important when we condemn black, young black men, that we realize that there's a larger thing at play. But anyway, that's a I'll go back to the
one that you say that you amassed over. The one that you can terrorize. All the females flocking to you and halfway scared of you. Knock them around all over the place. Call them all kind of names. Why don't you call your honor that same name? Snatch him from behind the bench.
Well, you see, that's what I'm saying. That the guy did do that,
No. See, we're great show people. Greatest show people on earth. 3 9mm, one in your sock.
Oh yeah, so I don't have ad blocker on my Firefox.
One in your waistband.
But again, obviously, there's nothing wrong with having 3 guns, but he's really talking about America. But he when you hear him, he thinks he's talking about the entire world.
One in your side pocket, ready to take on the entire world in a movie, in a homemade video, or passing a bus stop full of black people fixing to go to work, or you can terrorize them. Why don't you take on the champ? Which usually is just 1 or 2 white supremacists who just come and say, "Now, I think you better behave because you're disturbing my peace. Now, if you don't think I can handle you, try me." And I haven't been on this planet forever.
But listen to this right here. So, I want you to listen to this. But, I mean, I do want people to understand this, though. Most people punch down. Okay? It's very Most people punch down. Some people punch up, like our brother Bakari. Some people punch up, but most people punch down, because when you punch down, you're able to you pretty much survive to punch another day. And even in the animal world, there are animals that punch down. You know, one of the things about wolves or even lions, right? And I think it's mostly wolves, and why dogs were domesticated anyway, is because if you like meet a wild wolf or what have you, and it's looking you up and down, trying to assess you as a threat, right? If you like run away, or you back up, or you show, if you show that you're intimidated, it will attack you, and it will end your life, more or less, right? And it's not that the dog can't attack you and end your life even if you stand up. But here's the thing: if you show that kind of courage, that kind of defiance, you let that dog assess that, you know what, you're going to put up a fight. Okay, you're going to put up a fight. Not that you're going to kill it, right? Because maybe you can't kill it, but that you're going to put up a fight. Then they'll let you go. And you might say, well, yeah, because animals respect honor. No. It's a little bit more simple than that, right? like calm down. It's a little more simple than that. What the animal is doing is it's assessing, okay, after I kill you and eat your frickin' body, right? How many more things can I kill and eat? Okay? But if you say, look, man, I will slash your fucking leg, right? Okay, it'll kill you, eat your body, and then it'll live the rest of its life with 3 legs. Okay? Now, it says to itself, why would I want to live the rest of my life with 3 legs? Okay? Why would I want to live the rest of my life with 1 eye? Right? Why would I want to live the rest? I don't know. Maybe those are the 2 main things that I could do to a wolf, honestly. But I don't know, maybe like smashed ears or something. I don't know. Like hampered hearing. Why would I want to do that? So it says to itself, you know what? That's not worth it, because this little meal, this 1 plate of dinner, right? Or I don't know. Maybe I'm like 5 plates of dinner. Well, maybe no. Maybe like 3 plates of dinner. Nah, 1 plate of dinner, right? Because I'm losing weight. I'm not losing weight. 2 plates of dinner, right? So maybe this 2 plates of dinner is not worth losing my leg. I'll just hunt the deer who does no damage to me. Most people punch down. So, condemning the thug, and I don't agree with the thug, terrorizing us, right? And I agree with Neely Fuller in this sense of, hey, black people should, face their weapons at other people, or outsiders, or try to protect their own people, obviously. But you have to apply some logic to it too, right? Unfortunately, the NYPD is the largest. I'm just talking about New York, but the NYPD is the largest police force on the planet. And it offers training courses to the Israeli defense force. It's I'm not saying that you shouldn't go against them. I mean, obviously, that's what your inclination is. I'm just saying that if you're looking at if you're being objective, and you're looking at how people might be thinking, how people might be rationalizing. Like, they're rationalizing, let me punch downward. And that's what everybody does. And that's why I think you guys might have, I don't know if I read this with you guys, but Engels was talking about this in his works, where he was saying that the capitalist, punches on the proletariat, and the proletariat punches on his wife. Because the proletariat cannot punch the capitalist. Now, just like what we would say Engels, why don't, Engels would say, no, proletariat, fight the capitalists. You get what I'm saying? And so just to say, we're like, hey, look, no, black thug, fight the white man. But I just want you guys to remember that, on a let's say on a biological level, most creatures punch down. Okay, most animals, most thinking is punching down. So yes, you do want to teach people to punch up, but there's a logic to punching downward. Let me see if I lost everybody with that. All right, let's keep going.
Never seen a situation on a large scale.
So he says, I've never seen a situation on a large scale.
Or never heard of one.
Or never heard of one on a large scale.
Of any significance throughout the history of the black male, because that's what I'm talking about, who didn't chicken out in a moment of real crisis. So I don't want to hear in this stalwart Black History Month.
You hear that though? He said, I've never heard of or read of in my whole life of a situation where on a large scale where black people didn't chicken out for anything of consequence. Again, like, does this guy hate black people? And does this guy even study black people? It's a real question, because, obviously anybody could think of the Mau Mau. Like anybody could think of all the revolutionary movements that happened around the world. Where Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankofa's people are free, right? Where Kenya received its freedom. Where just the whole gambit of revolutionary activity of war and all that kind of stuff that happened to give African people around the world liberation. This man tells you, and this is a African American scholar, he tells you, hey, look, I've never heard of anywhere where black people were not cowards.
On a large scale.
We'll play it again.
I've never seen a situation on a large scale, or never heard of one on a large scale, of any significance throughout the history of the black male, because that's what I'm talking about, who didn't chicken out in a moment of real crisis. So I don't want to hear in this stalwart Black History Month.
You see, and this is just a disgrace, because even if you're like, okay, let's talk about America, you have to realize that what Black Wall Street was. Okay, Black Wall Street was it was a military loss. Okay, Black Wall Street was some black man was alleged to have, I don't know, whispered or touched or something, some white woman on an elevator in Tulsa, I guess, right? Why she was there, I don't know. But the white people captured him, I guess. He was arrested by the white people. And this is why you really got to avoid white law enforcement being over you. But white people captured him, and then they were going to lynch him in the, like extrajudiciously. So black people showed up with their guns to stand guard at his stand guard at his location. Now, I think the police demanded, the white police then demanded that the black people disarm themselves. And I think they tried to disarm one black person, and a black person shot him and killed him or something like that, right? Then there was, all hell broke out, right? Now, I don't remember. I think that's the details, the updated details that I remember. Some people might say that they did disarm, and then being disarmed, they were attacked. But what happened was they had a shootout in the, they had a shootout, and the white people outgunned them. The white people outnumbered them, the white people outgunned them, and the white people won that shootout especially because they also had air support. So it was the first aerial bombing on a city in America, pretty much, right? By its own government or whatever, right? So yeah, like. But take for what it is, Wall Street, Black Wall Street was black people standing up in mass to defend themselves. It's just that their defenses weren't up to par. Compared to, like, if you don't remember, the Klan was right next door to Black Wall Street. And there was a girl who there was a survivor who used to say she used to see the Klan marching around right outside of Black Wall Street and like in the town over, and she didn't think much of it. But it's like, yeah. Well, this is why, again, I'm just kind of like, I don't know about staying in America, but I mean, obviously you can make it work, but I just don't know. Like, there's just this big extra variable. But what I'm saying is that was clearly an attempt. That was clearly a resistance movement. But the thing is that resistance movements are not foolproof. So, we have Haiti, which is another, brilliant example. But before Haiti was another example. I wish I could pull it up for you guys. In fact, I think that's what I should do for the next podcast. But I wish I could bring it up for you guys. But I don't recall. I don't recall the name of it. But I think maybe next week we're gonna try to do a Dessalines speech. But yeah, there's a history of black people standing up. But we don't like for a black man, for an African American. And I'm not, as people will tell me, I'm not even African American, right? But then for an African American, one of their all time, scholars, whatever, right? To say, I've only known black people in my 90 fucking years to be cowards, right? That's just insulting. Like, I'm insulted. And of course, he's not only talking about, you're going to think, oh, he's just talking about America. He's not only talking about America. But even if you were only talking about America, like, I'd be insulted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat, because I see some people are, some people want to, let me see. Actually, like here, brother McCarty says, male lions push up all the time. Whenever they are ready to take over a pride, they will face the whole pride. Sometimes only one male takes on 3 males and 5 females. Damn. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but the lone lions guy, like, yeah, and then he kills all the kids, because see, the lions are fighting to, like, take over.
About that all-powerful black male, because I've seen our record, particularly already in the last, I'll say, just in this area of the world, 60 years. And we've had a few who did things the way that they ought to be done. They protested in the street. They carried signs. They talked about non-justice. Martin Luther King, people like that. Fannie Lou Hamer, as a black female, backing up black males who got out there and tried to do something that made sense, rather than just terrorize the neighbors. And that's doing what we're supposed to do from the weak position that we have. Only time we show all this bravery is when we're mistreating other victims of racism.
So you kind of heard him. I think I don't remember. I feel like he did say, the South African guy last time, but you heard him. He said Dr. King and Fannie Lou Hamer did the right thing. And I mean, obviously, Dr. King and Fannie Lou Hamer were pretty good for what they were doing. And he's like, in the last 60 years, so obviously the Black Wall Street, might not, what have you. But again, and that's the thing about it too. It's like this. It's really unclear what these people want. But let me get this link in the chat real quick.
For the most part, some exceptions. Nelson Mandela, exception.
Oh, you see Nelson Mandela, see?
Martin Luther King, exception. Malcolm X, exception. A substantial list, but well spaced. All those black males in between, usually the ones who are doing hard time. If you look at what they're charged with, most of it is mistreating. Whether they're guilty or not, but most of it is for mistreating other prisoners of war, the race war. People that look like themselves, can't stand themselves, and want to kill everything that looks like them.
In December 2020, retired Israeli security chief said there is a galactic federation and they're staying hidden right now because...
All right, yeah. So, sorry. So, but you guys heard it. He basically was saying, I think he mentioned the South African guy, and like, so it's not like he's only talking about America, right? And he's like, hey, Malcolm X, do so few and far between, so on and so forth. And it's like, yeah, I think again, if you're just watching television, right, then yeah, you would think, hey, nothing happened since the '60s. And so on and so forth. But there are so many people doing so many things right now, and for you to be like an African American scholar and say otherwise is mind boggling. But I think we just had somebody join the call. Oh wait, so yeah, let me admit. Hey, brother Bakari, what's going on? I think you're muted if you're speaking.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's going on, man?
Hey, look, man, I just wanted to come up here for a couple minutes when he said, and he got to name a couple people. I'm going to show you something, right? And when you talked about Black Wall Street, there was time they stood up, Rosewood, they stood up. But I'm going to show you one even better. And I'm going to tell you why they didn't want this to get out, right? So we have to talk about it. When the Klan went to destroy Mountain Bayou, Mississippi, when they had their first all-black town in the United States, when they went to destroy Mountain Bayou, Mississippi, and everything they had, 15,000 black men met them in the middle of the street and ran them off. So when he said, not in mass numbers, and he go naming people, he named Dr. King, who I respect, Nelson Mandela, who I did, Malcolm, and then he says few and far between. He's only telling a certain history, and for him to be a historian and to leave out stuff like Mount Bayou, Mississippi, that's an absolute insult, right? Mm-hmm. So then you go back through and study the revolutionary churches. Man, just read the book, We Will Shoot Back. But now you go study these revolutionary churches, right? With me being from Mississippi, I talk about there a lot, right? But you can find churches, and I even did a podcast on this, which I did a live on this, where you saw all of the, where you see the churches hiding guns and giving them to citizens fighting back and running out white folks. They must not know about the Deacons of Defense down there in starting in Monroe. So you notice he did not name the guy from Monroe, North Carolina, Robert F. Williams, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't name him. He didn't name the Deacons of Defense down in Louisiana. He has a selective memory to tell you, he has a selective memory to tell you how cowardly we are. And we feel this now. I'm going to be honest. A lot of us is cowardly, and you know I feel that way. Mm-hmm, a lot of us. But it's not the majority of us. The problem is we're so spread out now, and we're not together. But a lot of us will just fall for this and say, yeah, see, that's what black folks do. Yeah, see, we coward. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go talking bad about them. Then when you ask that person, so what are you doing? Are you ready to go to fight? Their answer is then they're going to get on another subject. Why you worried about what I'm doing? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's him punching down too. You know, like it's like he's punching down honest, and that's the thing I picked up on with a lot of like what goes on in America is that we like to punch on our own people, and it's like here we have this, you know, good, magnificent people, right? And of course we're in this difficult situation, but it's like we just punch down, and you're gonna notice he doesn't really offer real solutions. He kind of just tells you, well, why don't you do this, but you can't because, you know, and it's just like, well, of course we can, right? It's just a matter of what are we trying to do? What are we trying to solve? What are we trying to accomplish? He's not really concerned about that. He's just like he's just disgusted with black people, honestly.
Yeah, but see, the reason people, I'm gonna tell you something, the reason people like that can get so popular and prominent in our community, now you have to ask yourself, how do people today in the 21st century really feel about themselves? How do they feel about themselves? If this person can become the person of knowledge, and he can be quoted by so many people, how do those people feel about themselves? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we have so many people, and see, if you quote this, like if you were on here talking about how great he is, and by the way, before I finish, before y'all run that damn cash out, but run that damn cash out. This man up here giving y'all this stuff, but anyway, but if you were sitting up here talking about how great he is and how smart he is and what he's doing, oh man, you have people in the chat and they'll be talking about yeah, because black people want to be little black people. That was the purpose of my live yesterday when I said all we do is want to bash black people. We bash each other and want to shame each other. So black people are so already shamed, that's why they don't want to be African. They'd rather be a Native American.
Exactly.
Think about that, bro.
Yeah.
So, and this is what he's doing, and this is what he's pushing. Then his mentor, who I have some respect for, some things she wrote was good, but then she made up a lot of stuff, and she pushed the racism, white supremacy. These are the two that actually started the people of color thing. We think it was white people. If you go back and listen to them, 70s, 80s especially, you can hear them talking about if you're of color, a person of color.
Uh-huh.
See, the people of color stuff actually come from black people because we were too afraid to act like we can't stand on our pro-black Pan-African square. And people get mad when I say that. Francis Quest Weston, people get mad when I say that and don't want to, because they only want to hear one thing because she's with the ancestors now. They think I'm being disrespectful. But I'm like, no, I'm not. It was some things that she taught. And that's going to be like with everybody. I imagine some things that was taught, we're going to have to rework them. We're going to have to rewrite them. And him constantly telling us how cowardly we are. And we're accepting this, right? The thing about it, the worst thing about it is, how do we accept that we're so cowardly? Think about that. How do we accept that we're so cowardly, but we ready to go toe to toe? That's why when I told you on the one, I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna land my plane. Remember when we were talking and we was over there, and I like even in the hypothetical we can't win.
Oh yeah.
I said that's why I got in my box and only deal with 2 or 3 people because y'all too cowardly.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that. I have friends right now. It's not a whole lot of them, but if some go down, we ready. And we are constantly preparing food, ammunition, guns. We're constantly training. But some of the people that we were on that panel with, I don't want them to constantly think that I'm constantly trying to take shots at them because I'm not. I'm just being honest. But not just that panel, all other panels. They are the living embodiment of how this man speaks, of how cowardly we are.
Yeah. Because he has a long-term impact. This man is one of the more influential voices in America, the American zeitgeist, for some reason. You know, like that whole white supremacy talk, definitely from him. You know, and like you said, Frances Cress Welsing, you know, she continued that tradition. You know, we have organic African paradigm here. A good brother right there, intellectual brother. He says, I think it's. He said, rather cash out. All right. He says, I think it's when you know people are capable of greatness, but they are not manifesting their full potential. It forms deep frustration. Like, what do you think about that? Like, because you know, like how do you think about getting frustrated with people because you know they're capable of greatness? But see, I don't know if. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I've absolutely gotten frustrated. I keep telling you, man. People think I got so frustrated. I took this is why I say I had to switch up what I'm doing on this panel. I've taken my frustration out on people that I actually know and love and care about. I got a lot of people like, yes, you do get frustrated. Mm-hmm. And when I'm listening to people on YouTube, it's even more frustrating because when I say in order to change something, we're going to have to get in the streets. Or when I say let's have a black business challenge, and you can have someone up there like Black Steel, oh, that ain't going to change nothing. Well, you know, I will support a black business. He's saying that just to say that, but they are not really living that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If he run across a black business, he might support it. But they're not out searching black business because we don't think black business is going to can change our neighborhood, which is absolutely asinine. We don't think if we support one another, it's going to change because we're so focused on other people. Oh, what about the racial wealth gap? Oh, what about us fixing ourselves? So with all that being said, yes, you get absolutely frustrated. And I understood what organic African paradigm put in the chat. Yes, it can, and it will make you frustrated. But still, at the same time, can I say he's telling the truth about cowardly? Yes. But can I say he's lying about there's never been a mass of us that was ready to fight back? No, because when he said Dr. King, people forget. Go back and look in places, Detroit, LA, New Jersey, just go back and look throughout the United States when they passed their civil rights bill or when they finally passed it. Go look and see how black people had started busting white folks upside the head.
Yeah, it was the LA riots, right? Yeah.
King, his marching, and then the other tactics of fighting worked hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's lying about that part, and he leave that part out for a specific reason.
Yeah, see, my thing is that I don't think Neely Fuller Jr. sees our people as capable of greatness. I think Neely Fuller Jr. only sees white people as capable of greatness. And so I think we see differently and we get frustrated. But as far as Neely Fuller Jr., I think this guy just hates black people. And like you said, he doesn't even call us black people. He calls us people like his whole paradigm is just white centered, white people, white centered. Afrojam says he is part of the establishment, speaks as if he's against it. Yeah, he's part of the establishment, and he speaks. He thinks he's not like Neely Fuller Jr. is is what we would call the white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? Like by all rationale. But hey, let's keep playing. I think we have like 2 more videos to go through. Oh, but stick around though. You don't have to drop down unless you're busy or something. All right.
And laugh about it and call it an accomplishment. Now I harp on this because this is one thing that should be real passe. As they say in the hip-hop culture, I think they call it whack. That's really whack. I think that's what they call it.
This is what a weirdo.
Makes no sense at all. It has been embraced in every generation. Didn't just start. As far back as I can remember. Black male carrying the Saturday night razor. I'm going to cut me somebody before the night's over. All
right, so he's going to now categorize this, Saturday night, this particular scene you probably see in a movie, right? And I'm not saying it didn't happen in real life, but I would expect it was pretty limited in scope. But he's gonna make it seem like this is what black men do, right?
Oh yeah, who are you gonna cut? Who are you gonna cut, Jimmy? Who are you gonna cut, Mac? Well, I'm going over to the dance hall. Who's in the dance hall, Mac? I'm going to cut me somebody who breaks bad over the dance hall. Who is it that's going to break bad in the dance hall, Mac? Somebody that looks like me. Somebody I probably went to school with before I dropped out. And they dropped out. So we meet up 18 years later. And we slash each other to death in the alley. And that's supposed to be a big deal. And the purpose for being on the planet. Now, there are millions of black people who think just like that. And they are not all just in this area of the world. They're south of here.
You see, all right. So you're gonna see he's talking about it's a black tradition for black people to like for young black men to walk into a bar or a club. Wait, are you there, Brother McCoy? It's an old black tradition. Oh, okay, okay.
I was listening. Go ahead.
It's an old black tradition. Like this is now again. If anybody else said this, right? If a white person said, "Hey, it's a black tradition for black people to, walk, white people to stab each other in a club," right? It would be, like there would be huge outrage. This white person, we call him a racist, we call him a bigot, we call him a whatever, an idiot, doesn't understand, blah blah blah. But Neely Fuller Jr. This is a respected African American scholar, and the reason why I'm even using Neely Fuller Jr. is because somebody actually I put a post on YouTube, and they said let's have a discussion about Neely Fuller Jr. And I was gonna read some pages from his book, but because I didn't hear it back from the individual, I didn't know what pages to read, so I didn't do that. But like this guy is a respected scholar, and even to the point where some of the videos that I've put up, talking about Neely Fuller Jr. was one of the was some of the more hated ones, or if you will, right? But why I'm saying this is to say that this is a respected African American scholar, and what he's telling you is, hey, it's a tradition among us to kill ourselves. Now, if anybody knows young men in general, right? Like, regardless of race, and I'm not trying to say let's not look at black people, whatever. But what I'm saying is that young men in general, regardless of race, are in all populations are you could find people who are not up to any good, right? And of course, the poorer you are, the more likely that you might be up to no good, because stealing is easy money. What white people have done is they've made themselves rich by stealing from other people, okay, and then hiding the evidence. You know what I'm saying? So yes, now they are not like you'll find large amounts of white people who are not so poor that they're stabbing each other in a club. Although you could still find white people stabbing each other in clubs. To this day, if you look at the statistics, the most violent crime, obviously, in America is going to be a bunch of white people, and it's going to far outnumber black people in that sense, but or even comparably number. But you're not going to say, oh well, it's a white tradition. And of course, you go to Europe and you're going to find that kind of thing, and you're not going to say, oh, it's a white tradition. But when it comes to black people, right? Anything negative becomes a black tradition. And that's the kind of mindset that these people are like. This guy is pushing on us, and it's like, who is that consistent with? Who told us, oh, we're just thugs and this and that and so forth? Who told us that? And now what is this person telling us?
That's a huge part of black culture. It needs to stop, and it needs to stop as of tonight. We need to do some thinking. And just say enough of that. Been there, done that. Forget it. No more gang tattoos. I mean, who are we fooling? Who can we really whip? A very limited number of people. And certainly nobody who is smarter and more powerful than we are, particularly somebody who is really an army. A system of white supremacy. You know anything about taking that on? No, nothing. Zero. Better start tap dancing.
Yeah, so that's what. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, definitely.
Now I want to say this, and when I say this, a lot of people they jump this system. One thing I don't like that has been taught to black people: words, because we like to say words have power, right? So words have power. We have used that term white supremacy so much that black people really feel white people are supreme. They really feel white people are superior. That's why I absolutely go against that word. So then you look up the definition of white supremacy. It's a belief that they're superior. So why do we focus on all the time, how do they feel about us? Yeah, they got the power, so they're creating a system. But sitting around talking about it, acting like I got all this knowledge because I can call them white supremacy, it it does nothing. How about black power? Which black power was a term coined by Kwame Ture, right? It's not the fact that we have power right now, but black power is something that we want. So it's something that we're supposed to be fighting for. But instead of focusing on black power, we focus on how supreme white people, they make the rules. Yeah, they make the rules. They won the war. They put themselves in a position. They won the battle. But sitting around talking about how tough they are and they're the white supremacists, I would ask anybody, do y'all think that's going to change the system in which we're living in, sitting around talking about? They believe in white supremacy. I have come to a realization, and I'm talking about the people on social media, the black people on social media. They believe in white supremacy too. That's why when you ask these bigger channels, what is it you can do? Oh, we need reparation. They haven't given reparation. Don't do that. So what are we going to do till then? Well, we're going to keep fighting for reparations. But what are we going to do other than just constantly say, we're going to fight for reparations? And the problem is, too many of our people follow these clowns. Too many of our people give these clowns respect because they're black. Too many of our people want to constantly, ooh, he did this good, so I'm going to still watch it. But what is the end game? We don't want to focus on the end game. We want to give people passes. So for me, I'm not giving people passes. And I don't give passes just constantly calling somebody superior over you. We are like children. Can't no black person make that type of money. See, this is something I talked about yesterday too. Can't no black people make that type of money unless white people let you do it. Have you ever heard this? White people ain't gonna let you do that. Haven't you heard that before?
Yeah.
We are like children. So that's where my frustration come in at. When I say these grown black men, if I mention a white man, their tone is no white foot. But then if I mention a black woman, they're ready to go kick indoors. She gonna submit. I'm stronger than this. But if you just say white people, their whole tone change. And if you don't believe me, go find the area. Me and my homeboy was talking about this other. Go find an area being gentrified. It's a place in Atlanta called Vine City. That's the only place I had ever been in my life where I was a little nervous around black people in broad open daylight. I'm being honest, bro. It's like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I turned down the wrong street, and man, it's like, I don't know, they got somebody on top of houses or something. I don't know. As I ride down that street, everybody walking out their door, no shirt on with their gun on their side. Man, I didn't even stop at the four-way stop. I just slowed down.
The fuck?
But it's being gentrified now. You don't have to call the police on black folk. So it's being gentrified now. All it takes is for some white people to come around. Me and my homeboy was killing ourselves laughing. White people over there now. Those same black people, they're on the best people. But it's because of what we've been teaching. If we change some of this teaching, stop calling them supreme. Stop calling them superior.
Yeah.
Start looking at ourselves as the ones with power. Right?
Well, that's the thing. You know, the trouble is this. You're talking about Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller, when you talk about white supremacy, we don't know white supremacy. Like, what you're saying, hey, white supremacy sounds like you saying white people are supreme. That's exactly what Neely Fuller Jr. is saying. Neely Fuller Jr. is telling us, like, if you read his book for 2 seconds, when you read his book for 2 seconds, he's telling you white people are the most intelligent, most superior people on the planet. The white race is the most powerful and most intelligent and just pretty much the best people on the planet. Like, he's not like the way how people are using it today, where it's like, oh, we're just talking about a system, blah blah blah. He's not doing that. He's telling you, yes, white people are supreme. And I tell you, for a long time, I was saying to myself, I'm not even gonna touch his shit. I'm not even gonna touch his shit. But I read this other book by this woman who was a Fullerite, and it was a decent book. It was about miscegenation. Why do what's the power? Why do white people and black people have have sex and that kind of stuff? And so she wrote this book on it, and she talked about Neely Fuller Jr. a lot and all that kind of stuff. And so I said to myself, oh, sorry, but then at the end, she said, as Neely Fuller Jr. said, only the white racists, right, can fix the conditions for black people. And so I was like, okay, I gotta go read Neely Fuller Jr. now, because ain't no way this man said that. But that's really the takeaway from Neely Fuller Jr.'s literature, that actually only white people can solve your problems. Right? So what? And again, like I said, I don't know to what extent. To what extent that applies outside. Like that doesn't apply outside of America. To what it applies in America is up for debate. But what Neely Fuller Jr. is saying is exactly what you're hoping he doesn't say. What you're hoping, what you're thinking it implies. He tells you in plain view, yes, white people are superior. Yes, white people are this. Yes, white people are that. And obviously, that's why me personally, I take a personal issue against this guy. Right? Well, let me look at the chat for a second. Afrojam says his party establishment yet speaks out as if he's against it. Brother Makari says, run that damn Cash App. This brother comes every week with great book readings. Run the Cash App, right? If you guys you guys want. Afrojam says, why did the illustrator blacken him up? He is white like a snow globe. Exactly. People don't want to say that. Afrojam says, what is this blackface? Yeah. Revolutionary Merchant points out Neely Fuller Jr. is one of those mulattoes trying to lead black people, and that's the thing that, again, we tend to ignore that, the mix factor, right? But a lot of times, you're going to notice that a lot of mixed people are kind of telling you, hey, look, stop being black and be white. You know what I mean? Like, white is good, black is bad, and yet because black people are saying to themselves, hey, you know what? If you got one drop of black blood, then you're black. We tend to look at this, we tend to look at these mixed individuals and say, oh, well, they're black, and so they're just telling us that we're fucking idiots because we are. You know what I mean? And it just kind of runs into the self-hatred thing. And I mean, a lot of self-hatred was around, essentially, a lot of people tend to say that colorism wasn't a thing in America. So Du Bois and Garvey used to argue about this, right? But Du Bois was obviously, now I think Du Bois was mixed, but like Du Bois was like, oh yeah, he was dismissing Garvey because Garvey was talking about colorism and that kind of stuff, and he's like, oh, that's the stuff that you see in Jamaica. But I one time these high school teachers bought me Du Bois's biography, and yeah, in his biography, the guy points out, I think David Leonard Lewis, he points out that there was a whole bunch of colorism in America, right? You had like blue vein societies, you had this, that, you had like even in churches, dark-skinned people would sit in the back and light-skinned people would sit in the front, right? But it wasn't official in the sense of the thing that America has that's different and unique that a lot of people don't realize is that in America there is no third race. There's black and white, and there's no third race. So if you go to Brazil, there's negro and moreno and whatever white people are. I don't know, gringo or some shit. I don't know. Like there's moreno, whatever. So moreno, and some people say moreno's not mixed or something like that. But yeah, no, they have people who are of pure African blood, and then they have people who are of mixed African blood, and they separate the two in their head, right? You go to South Africa, the same. You had the Bantu, the Africans, and then you had the colored, and then you had the white, right? The whites, so on and so forth. But in America, you just had black and white. Okay? But regardless, you still have that kind of colorism. You still have that kind of self-hatred. You still have that kind of hatred for black people that came from people who were mixed. You know what I mean? And to the point where, like Garvey was pointing out, that people were hating on their dark mother, you know, or seeking to, you know, try to integrate or try to, you know, or try to whatever. You know, we had the another one was I think you guys know about the I don't know that guy. You know, you just say you don't want to tell his name, but the guy who does the documentaries, he was talking about black people once upon a time saying Redbone, and those sort of things, and Melungians and that kind of stuff. So there is this this colorism that is so forth. But what the point was that this guy Neely Fuller Jr. has, like, he probably hates that he's identified as black. Now, in any other part of the world, he wouldn't be identified as black. But in America, he's identified as black, and his hatred carries out into his work. And then black people say, "Oh, well, this black person, what he's saying is makes sense because we are, because, you know, some of what he's saying is true. You know, black people are, like, there are black thugs. You know, now there are white thugs. There's a freaking whole mafia. There's whole mobs. There's Yakuza in Japan. There's gangs all over the fucking planet, right? But, you know, it's not like there's only black thugs. But there are black thugs, and but just taking that as it is, right? You're then like you're imposing your own hatred for being identified as black when you shouldn't be, honestly, but. You're imposing that little cognitive dissonance on other people, and the other people, instead of saying, you know what, this is just a tragic mulatto, right? The other people are saying, oh, this is a black man, giving us a plan, and his plan is pretty much nothing except for, oh, well, you know, black people ain't shit, you know, and that's the sad part. But let me just say, let me just read the rest of the comments, I guess. Brother McCarty says, Afro Jam, LOL. Organic African Paradigm says, the more I listen to Neely, the more I'm thinking all his anger is from a very deep frustration coming from him. I see nothing except deep frustration that has deeply traumatized Neely. Yeah, I think it's the tragic mulatto, symptom. You know, it's like he's what we consider, I think maybe an intergenerational mulatto, right? Like, it's kind of like, you guys remember Claude Anderson, right? Claude Anderson comes from a situation where his family would identify as black, but they were the lights.
I don't mean to cut you off. You ain't never heard Claude Anderson talk about that?
No, I mean, like I was gonna say they're like the light skins.
No, let me tell you what he said.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what he said.
Yeah.
His family would ask him, why is he out here trying to help black people? You notice when Claude Anderson talked.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
He never say we or us. It's always they or them. He said most of his family passed for anything else, and he let you know he got more white and Native American in him than black, and he hate to be called African.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like that's what I mean. Like I mean like this. I was saying like this. Like, I think his gripe is during segregation, black people would buy from his people, right? The mulattoes or whatever, right? And the mulattoes had a higher economic standing during segregation. It's kind of like if you go to Africa during colonization, right? They the Indians and the what were they, Arabs, would be middlemen to the white economic structure. And so they had a good position during colonialism for people who weren't white. And so it's the same in America, except for you didn't have the Indians, you didn't have the Arabs, right? Or you did, but not in large numbers. But you had these mulattoes, right? So they were the middlemen for the white power structure. And then after desegregation, right, or after integration, the white people didn't know, like, basically black people could be middlemen, or white people were middlemen, but mulattoes were not necessarily the middlemen, right? And that is one of Neely Fuller's gripes, You know, so essentially, once upon a time, you know, white people, you know, the people that they brought closest to them were the people with greater proximity to them racially, right? You know, and look, in some capacity, it makes sense. You know, like if you know, like if you would just say all black population, if you just had you know, Tanzanians inside of Kenya, right? Then if Tanzania is in charge, then the people with Tanzanian lineage will probably be the middlemen in the Kenyan economy. You know what I mean? So it just makes a lot of sense that whoever's in power is going to make the middlemen those people closer to them, and you know, even if the people farther than them are the majority, right? So I think that's what it was. Now, now, just like Claude Anderson, like you're saying, like now an American, like on paper, because it's a one drop rule, you know, they're black people, right? But they don't want to be black people, and in any other part of the world, they wouldn't be black people. And it's the same with Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller Jr. would not be a black person if he was born in South Africa. He'd be colored, right? He would not be a.
Did you say the one drop rule?
Yeah.
And do you know the original one drop rule?
Oh yeah. With regard to if your mother was black, right?
Whatever your mother is,
yeah,
that's what you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I think that's his deep frustration. Let me just I'll just finish the comments. Brother Carter says facts. Brother says Neely Fuller Jr. is frustrated by a system that didn't let him into his power structure. Exactly. See, Revolutionary Matron just nut on the head. By the way, you guys make sure you guys subscribe to Neely Revolutionary Matron. She just read 2 chapters from Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization. They were.
Damn cash app too.
Yeah, run the cash app for the matron too. As myself, yeah.
You ain't saying it right, man. Run that damn cash app.
I don't know how to say that like that, man. But I feel you. All right, look. So Brother McCarthy says, okay, African paradigm, exactly. It seems like he was abused by white folks and never did nothing about it. Yep. And that's another thing too. Like sometimes if people are abusing you and you don't do anything about it, and other people don't do anything about it, you lash out at it. You know, you lash out at the people who should have came up for you, or who you wanted to come up for you. But, you know, it is what it is. Afro Jam, by the way, shout out to everybody who's here. Appreciate everybody who came through. But Afro Jam says, I've said that before, that mixed people in the U.S. have just had much of history of racism elsewhere as white Americans. No, for half of the USA's history, the one-drop rule was never a law. It was not even a law. The last place in America to drop the mixed category was Louisiana after Homer Plessy. Real Black Gentleman says Neely Fuller. Afrojack says in Brazil it's Petro, black, Pardo, mixed, any kind of mixture, and Branco, white. Oh, you're saying that they didn't have the one-drop rule? Well, I mean, I know that it was the one-drop rule that Brother Bakari just mentioned about your mother being black was like that was pretty early. Oh, but yeah, I think it was also pretty late too. I think they did put that in like maybe like 1850s. And I think
they put it in so they could enslave.
Yeah, so they could save their own children. Exactly.
Yeah. They could enslave their own family members.
Yeah, because
obviously, if you read and study, obviously white women was having babies by other people. So that's why they switched it up so they could enslave their own.
Yeah. So I remember that. Like I think that's what. Yeah, but like that was it. It's like essentially they could no longer import people from, or it was more difficult to import people from or steal people from Africa, and so they think okay. So Afrojam's saying that wasn't the one drop rule. That is status inheritance. I don't know. I don't remember. Honestly, it's like it's been a minute. I ain't gonna hold you guys. I know that's the thing. Some of you guys obviously are better versed than me in a whole bunch of things. You know what I mean? I don't pretend to be very versed in everything. You know. So this is the next video. It's not really as good. I feel like it's the same topic. I kind of want to go over this video though. This was hilarious. Like Jennifer Jr. is not always right. But I think another thing about people that they like about a lot of these guys, and you're gonna see this. I think it was Malcolm X, because Malcolm X is another person I know kind of like, you know, punches down a little bit. But the thing that people, I think that Malcolm X talks about a time where so he's considered Detroit Red, and then there's this other guy called Chicago Red who was Red Fox, and Red Fox told him, put some humor in your shit, like just be a little funny. And so I think that's a thing that we also don't pick up on. A lot of the infotainment, or a lot of the entertainers or a lot of the conscious people that we tend to enjoy, they also tend to make us laugh, And so Neely Fuller Jr. does put a lot of humor, and so his talk on homosexuals is actually a little bit. It's a little weird, but a little comical. It's a little comical in the sense that it's an old ass man. Like he says stuff like, if homosexual sex is so good, then show us how it's so good. We'll all watch it. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like he's so weirdo, like low key. But anyway, so this is another talk. I just wanted to show you guys the top 3. Although I don't know, I'll just try to play through it and then we can go to the other thing. If there's anything he says, we can stop. Or Brother McCarr, if anything you want me to pause that, let us know. But if anybody else wants to click on the link, you guys can, okay?
Every black person on the planet who has been exposed to white supremacy and their assumption is every black person on the planet.
Okay, so yeah, he says every black person. Now, I just want to make you guys remember, I only clicked on the top 2 popular videos, okay? So I could give it a fair assessment as to what people are really familiar with in regards to Neely Fuller Jr. So it's just a little bit less biased. Like I'm not searching for the worst examples I could find of the guy. I'm just like these are literally the top 2 on hip hop cartoons, which is like a curated selection of his quotes. That's all.
Has been, even when they haven't been in contact with white people directly, they've been exposed through the white culture indirectly. White culture is about white supremacy. Now, what does white supremacy do? It teaches people of color that if you are a male, you cannot be a man. Period.
Yeah. So, and by the way, you kick in whenever you want, Brother McCarry. But yeah. So he's gonna tell us that, and that's another thing that we have to remember, that according to Neely Fuller Jr., we are not men, and our women are not women. We're all boys and girls. Okay, and we can only be boys and girls. Like, it's so demeaning. It's so distracting. And then again, like I said, you go to Africa and you actually see manliness. You see manhood. You see womanhood in like its rawest form. I'm not saying you don't see it in America. I'm saying that when you see it in America, you see a whole different picture, and that's why I think it's really critical for black people to, go to Africa and just see, oh yeah, there's something better. Because it's like, obviously people come back from Africa and they've seen it too. But like, I could tell you guys this one example. Like for instance, Brother McCarty could appreciate this, right? This brother, like these 2 guys were, this guy was driving on a bus. Yeah, I guess they're driving buses on a highway. You know how it is driving on a long stretch of highway. Because, Brother McCarty says he's a trucker, right? So you know how it is driving on this highway. So one of these guys is just speeding, trying to overtake us or whatever, right? Nearly crashes into us. Okay? Now you think, okay, like here in America, maybe you're just gonna say, well, watch your fucking self. You get out, yell at him. You don't even get out, you just yell at him or whatever, right? This bus stopped, and then the passengers in the bus, the black men in the bus, went over to the other bus and started terrorizing the bus driver, pretty much feeling like they're going to pull him out and beat him up. And, pretty much threatening him, and then going back into the bus and going back. So it wasn't even, like, it was the bus driver himself who took an issue, but it was also the passengers in the bus who got out to attack the other guy. So, most of the times what you see in, like, road rage, even in America, is like, at best, you see the drivers come out and try to squabble, right? The passengers of the bus got out, because here it's like you what you'd expect is the bus driver get out or the other bus driver to get out, and then we'd pull out our cameras. The men would pull out their cameras and watch. Now I'm not gonna hold you, I did pull out my camera because I was like, what the fuck's going on? I didn't understand the language, so I didn't know what was going on, right? but the fact that the the people paying like a little bit of money to go all the way to, I guess, Dar es Salaam or something, that they got out to fight. That's the kind of masculinity that we have in Africa, casually, and you kind of see it on a regular basis. And I mean, I would see it more if I thing. Now, I'm not gonna say that they're Superman. Like, obviously, you know, like they're not doing like day game or something like that. You know, something cool like that. But they're like, when it comes to like protecting their own people, or protecting their women, or what have you, or even just standing up and being asserting themselves. You know, whether it's a man, a woman, or whatever. Right? That is a thing. In Tanzania, like just a normal thing, and you could even tell without knowing the language, which is a really thing. Whereas right here, this guy is not only telling you, like obviously, you know, like you said, you're gonna see black cowardliness in America, but this guy's gonna go further and tell us, look, you can't even be a man, and he's saying that about the entire black world when it's not even remotely true. But anyway, I'll just keep going.
And in the system of white supremacy,
Sorry.
you're not going to be treated like a man, ever. Now, you can walk around and think that you're a man, but that's between you and you. Strictly between you and yourself. Because no white person has an obligation, if you're a black male, to treat you like you are a man. And it's illogical simply because in the system of white supremacy, it's impossible for a black male to be a man. It doesn't make any difference how old he gets or what he knows or what kind of connections. That can't be done. I just start with myself. I'm not eligible, not qualified to be a man. Why? Because I was born in captivity, that's why. When you're in captivity, when you're a prisoner of war, you are strictly that and nothing else. A prisoner of war. A victim of white supremacy. And you don't have another title. You can give yourselves all kinds of titles, which is why black people love titles.
Yeah, but you see, I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me see what the comments are. So Afrojam says, under old Christian laws, the child status comes from the father. Okay, interesting. Katie7 says, wasn't Neely Fuller Jr. a security guard by profession? I have no idea. But if he was, he probably was one of those guys who just sat back and they told him, like, maybe somebody told him, like, shut the fuck up, little boy, and he kept it pushing. But again, you know, you saw, like, we were talking about Brother Bakari's best friend, Black Steel. Well, we were talking about Black Steel was saying yesterday was January 6th. And I'm just messing with Brother Bakari. But January 6th was, a black man just shot a white woman in the face. You know what I mean? Like if you're a security guard, you could do it. Like, you could shoot a white woman in the face. Like there's no, well, the white man's blah, blah, blah. But a lot of black people believe that we don't, or we can't, or we won't. But it is what it is. Let's see. Real Black Jenna says, I don't like Fuller's terminology at all. His whole lexicon is suspect. Yeah, Fuller is, again, he's the tragic mulatto. He's not, like, he's a mulatto. He's not meant to help black people. You know, I'm listening to him just because black people are listening to him. But he's really, like, I'm just listening to him to show you guys how much, like, how bad he is. Like, how bad it is that people are actually listening to him. I'm not seriously going to listen to this guy. Revolutionary Merchant says, Neely Fuller is telling you how he perceives black people. Exactly. Like how he perceives, and the thing, the trouble is that, again, like I said, this is 139,000 views. Out of all the videos I've had on YouTube, okay, and now granted, it's 8 minutes and it's digestible. It's a cartoon, it's digestible. But of all the videos I had on YouTube, I don't think every video view adds up to 139,000 views. Okay, this is international. Real Black Gentleman says black people love titles. What does that mean though? Oh, he's gonna go in on that in a bit. Oh, Brother Bakar, you dropped off for a second. He's gonna go into that.
Yeah, my phone rung and knocked me out, man.
Oh, my fault. Let me see. I think I can even look at the comments. If Neely Fuller Jr. on point as usual. Our people wrestle with this. We can not be men if we're in captivity. This is a hard truth to deal with, but it must be dealt with. And again, we're not all in captivity, But whatever. This brought me to tears because I know this. I'm 49 years old and I've already known this. Again, he's an old ass man. No disrespect to people older than that. Right? Brother Christ, like, what are you gonna say that old man for? All right. He spoke that. He's like, oh, I already know this. I know I'm not a man. This is a 49-year-old. All right. He spoke the truth. Many respect, react harsh and violent towards individuals like themselves, but when another enters the room, they quiet and obedient. And so on and so forth. So it's not like black people are like universally cussing this man out. It's kind of like they're praising this guy for talking shit about him. Oh, sorry guys, I'm sick. By the way, I turns out I'm old. I decided to run outside. I'll tell you guys, I ran outside without a coat. Just jogging, and yeah, I got sick for like a damn week. All right.
We give ourselves all kind of titles. We give each other all kind of titles. Some titles, it's not as bad as it was in the old days. I say bad. I wouldn't use that word. But some people used to say, Professor, Reverend, Most High. I mean, before you ever get to a name, you would have about 40 titles. When somebody introduces you, you're supposed to be what you call a big shot Negro in the old days. This is not new. This goes way back. That struggle. Oh, I'd just love to be a man. I mean, what can it take? But by this generation, what you call the new millennium, most young black people have looked around. They've looked at the people that came before them, who since the 1960s, the white supremacists have done a rough job on black malehood. First of all, giving them an option.
Well, let me just say before, because I didn't know he got off the title section thing, but like, objectively, that would have been funny, and his delivery, like again, like he might not make us laugh, but there are black people who are listening to him cracking up because like that's a like you think about Bernie Mac and them or what have you, the comedians, where they kind of just poke fun at things that they might have heard black people doing, right? So when he says, a black person identifies as reverend, professor, so on and so forth, right? Now his delivery is not the the greatest for us, or at least especially not this year, right? But there are black people who are, oh, he right, you know how it is, and so they're like cracking up. So you got to remember that this is like he's, I guess, unintentionally funny, or maybe he's intentionally funny. I don't know. But that's part of the reason, like just a propaganda 101. That's part of the reason why he also has an appeal, is because he's making you laugh. And I'll tell you guys this because, like I said, I used to go to a whole bunch of lectures in person, and the speaker would like the people around us would be laughing a great deal. Anyway.
That you can continue to be a big boy, or if you really want to get some material benefits, put on some gold slippers and skip around, and grin all the time and all like that, and have a little money in your pocket. Now you can be a black girl if you're a black male. You can be a black girl, but you cannot be a man. You will never be a man in the system of white supremacy. Now they have put that in cement. They've written, or rather in steel, or whatever the hardest subject, a diamond. The white supremacists have put that philosophy out here since the 1970s. That's the benchmark that I give it. All over the world, and they're spreading it.
You see, now again, he keeps going to this all over the world. Now I could understand if you're saying in Black America, he is like this white man is pushing black men into becoming black girls, or the transgender movement. I could see you putting that. And obviously, I'm not saying that he's not attempting it all over the world, right? But the idea that this white man has this global influence is just not, it's just not absolute. It's not absolute. Obviously, this white boy has certain, has a certain impression of what human rights entails, And obviously there are, organizations that are pushing certain things that are considered human rights by the West now that, it didn't consider, before Obama, I guess, right? Because if you guys remember, Well, I did consider it somewhat, but it's like I think during Obama's presidential election, he was asked, "What do you think about homosexuality?" and he was against it. You know, homosexual marriage, he was against it, and Hillary Clinton was against homosexual marriage. But then afterward, I think he passes the law, or the law is passed, you know, with that court, and then now it's kind of like pushed all over the world. But it really, it really wasn't. But again, like I said, you know, when I want people to travel, because when you travel, right, you can find, like, you can choose to travel to a remote location. And when you choose to travel to a remote location, you realize that everything you know about, everything you know about white people doesn't apply. Right? Or everything you know about, or everything you think you know about white influence just doesn't apply when you get to remote places. Because there's whole, like for instance, in Mbeya, where I went, right? There's whole cities of just no white people. Like whole towns, whole villages, just zero white people. You know, but there's economic activity every day. People doing things every day. People working every day. And they just have nothing to do with white people. Now I'm not gonna say, oh well, there's not, you know, like you can't, like, I think there was like one PS5, you know, and that was like a business, you know, but like, you know, it's just a whole different world. My fault. Are you trying to say something, Brother Bakar? No. Okay. All right.
They're saying you're not gonna be a man. You're a black male, and you think you're gonna be a man on my watch? On my watch, this is the voice of the white supremacists now. Racist man and racist woman. Say that's not going to happen. Saying Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and all of that, they said that that's what they're going to make you out of. But it's not going to happen. Now you can talk it, but you make any move to make that real, and you're going to wonder what fell on you. Now, they have made that clear to all of us. And the young black people have picked up that signal. And they say, well, if I can't be a man and I don't want to be like my sisters, I don't want to switch around all day looking for a male, and I pretend to be a female or try to switch over and be one, if they can operate on me and make me one, because then the things become easier. I mean, I guess, I hope, you know. But I definitely can't be a man because I'm in big trouble if I try to be. Then, what can I be? Well, the white supremacist said, well, I'll give you another outside option. You can go around and pretend that you're a man by doing harm to other black people. That's cursing out black females, calling them names and all like that. Write songs about them where you call them all kinds of names and kick them all up and down the street. We don't care about that. Kick your mother up and down the street. I mean, we rejoice when we see you do that. Okay? But if you start acting anything like you ask for respect.
But you see, this is a really good animation style too. I mean, obviously the drawings aren't great, but it is kind of weird that that Neely Fuller Jr. is, you know, speaking for multiple characters, but it kind of suits the animation style too. But I like how the guy like kind of puts fire gif in the background when it's serious and this kind of stuff. Like, it's a really good, like, this animator is really he's pretty good, all things considered. Like, pretty imaginative. I didn't like him, you know, just putting that picture of, I think, Malcolm X shot, or Malcolm X dead, but it's a pretty good animator, all the same. Like just definitely something to like I said, you guys could subscribe if you choose to. He's a good guy. Neely Fuller Jr. is how to pursue black people. Real Bad Gentleman says, it's the cartoonist portrayal that even amplifies his voice. I used to watch his video, but it turns into Fuller's arm. Yeah, exactly. It's a really good, like, that's how you're supposed to, like, this is like a good sample of how good, like, how to animate well, you know, like you have the voice sample, which is not great, which is like, I wouldn't really listen to it, but then the video really engages it. And so, you know, a part of me is kind of like wondering how I could program something like this, you know. A part of me is wondering how I could program something like this, because That's a really cool thing. Now, Organic African Paradigm saying, he does say in the system of white supremacy. Yeah, but the thing is that he believes the system of white supremacy is global. Because he doesn't, like, see, the thing is this. If you said the system of white supremacy was just in America, again, your ideas could make a little bit more sense. But when you start saying it's global and international, like, and it's just everywhere, ubiquitous, omnipresent, it's second to a deity, right? Then
it's God. Don't say what they call it. It's God.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go listen again.
Yeah.
I question any black cousin, because when it comes to certain things, we like to talk about with scholars, and we'll read this book, and we'll read the definition. White supremacy is a belief that white people is above everybody, including black people. I question any black man mindset who truly believe in white supremacy. Because if you believe in white supremacy, you believe they are above you. If you truly believe in white supremacy, you believe white people is above you, and we can't do nothing. You hear something? Bruh, I've already told you how I was raised. I had never heard nobody talk about no damn white supremacy. I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard no black folks I knew talk about no damn white supremacy. Ever. We're turned on YouTube. Oh my God. It's every damn well. But I do question the black person's mindset, especially the black man. I can give a woman a pass because there's really not much a woman can do with a man. So since the black men ain't doing their job, I question any man, any black man that believe in the system of white supremacy, because if you believe in it, and it's only a belief that they are better, you believe in your subconsciously that they are better. But what they do is when you put it in their lap like that, they figure out a way to try to explain it away.
Well, I want to say this. Yeah, sorry. No, sorry. Well, what I was going to say is this. One of the troubles with the public school system, this is why I really, it's really difficult, but I really struggle not to put my son in the public school system, is that you definitely will walk away with, 9 times out of 10, you walk away with an inferiority complex. 9 times out of 10. And of course it depends on, like you said, like for you, if you're an active father, obviously you can resist it. But me personally, I'm also just a little bit wary because I know that the kids call each other the N-word all the time. And I'm just like, I don't want my son, because there's so much that comes with it, Like, even when you talk about the N-word, the psychological ramifications of being called an N-word, right? When you know that is just like a slave, right? In Once Upon a Time, right? The psychological ramifications of internalizing, yeah, I'm just a slave, right? And I guess there's nothing wrong with, being a slave per se, but it's just this, like the way how America teaches about slavery, and the way how America teaches about slaves, and then Africans and all that kind of stuff. Like even Once Upon a Time, especially when I was younger, not so much now, although I don't know because I'm not in the public school system like that. But Africans were dumb, Africans were animals, Africans were this. This is what they teach you, to the point where, yes, you do develop some inferiority complex, even outside of Neely Fuller Jr. Neely Fuller Jr., however, is the product of somebody who takes that inferiority complex and doesn't challenge it, goes full into it, and then says, you know what? Well, yeah, white people are supreme to us. So and I think that's another reason why people like Neely Fuller Jr., because essentially if you go through the whitewashing, right? At the other side of the whitewashing, are you going to pick up a Garvey book? No. But if you pick up a Francis Cress Welsing, and Francis Cress Welsing tells you, go check out Neely Fuller Jr., right? You got screwed over. If somebody's talking about racism, and then you say, what is racism? It's white supremacy. You look up white supremacy, and you come back to Neely Fuller Jr. You understand? So there's just so much we ran into this problem where essentially you have the white system that's going to churn out black inferiority, right? You have the popular music that's going to churn out black inferiority, right? And then you have this quote unquote black scholarship that also churns out black inferiority. And that's where, like, I think that's where the big problem is. Because, see, for me, like, for instance, me homeschooling my son, there's no iota of black inferiority. Not even an iota for this kid, obviously, right? But it's just my kid. You know what I mean? You can't go to school and study history and only learn about Europe and America and how America did this many great things and Europe did this many great things and learn nothing about Africa except for that your people were stolen, your people were blah, blah, blah. If that's all you know about Africa, right, then why would you be a proud African? If all you know is Ford did this and George Washington did this and Alexander Hamilton did that and this, you'd be, and then the greatest music composer was Beethoven and the greatest scientist was Einstein and the greatest thing was, if all you know, right, then why would you walk away saying, you know what, black people is the best? It would be, now I'm not saying you can't, it's just, and that's why I go by statistics, right? I say probabilistically, if a child were exposed to only good black propaganda, only good white propaganda, and no good black propaganda, probabilistically, that child would be pro-white. And I say this because in high school, there was this one kid who loved European classical music. And I mean, he did find himself a black woman, but the black woman, her too, was also like hated white people as well. Hated black people as well. So it's just two black Scotty or black haters or black traders getting together. So it's really like the inferiority complex is very systemic. But yeah, sorry.
We have to think about. Watch this. What are we? What are we teaching our? What are we teaching our children at home? How weak are we if our children can just go somewhere and a white person can tell them something? Now you feel inferior. The question, because your education don't start in school, your education starts at home. That's your first education, what you get at home. So we have to think about what are we teaching them at home then? Because the education didn't start there. Mm-hmm. It did not start there. It started in your household.
That's why you have to speak more. You see, that's why you have to speak more, because unfortunately, I have no say on what other people teach in their homes. You get what I'm saying? And I think it really falls back to our lack of organization, right? Because at the end of the day, when you are not an organized people, right? Nobody has to call. Like for instance, if I teach my son about Rwanda, right? Who's gonna stop me? Who has a say in what I teach my son, right? And unfortunately, nobody, right? Because I'm not in the organization that really particularizes that. But in the same way as nobody can stop me from teaching my kids something good, nobody can stop me from teaching my son something bad. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say I would want to choose that, right? But the reality is that, for our people, unfortunately, like when it comes to we don't know, but sometimes evidence surfaces to suggest that like a lot of us are teaching our children bad things. On the few occasions that like for instance, when I was on the bus, for instance, not the bus, the train, right? I saw this black father who was encouraging he has two sons, and he was encouraging both of them to shimmy and do some silly stupid dance in the middle of the bus, in the middle of the train. And one kid who looked like he had glasses and looked like he would rather read was just being pressured by his father to do a dance that he didn't want to do. But it's like, like I don't know. He could be teaching his kid any sort of positive things. And I've been to houses. Like one time, this woman asked me to home like to teach her child who was homeschooled, and she was just full of positive energy. Really beautiful woman, right? But like that's not universal, Or even I can say this: I have a friend who's in the conscious space who she teaches her kids that they're like that white people are like aliens or something, or demons or something, but like in a weird way where it's like it's like I wouldn't teach them that shit. But like a lot of but like that's the better examples. Obviously, the more popular examples is little kids singing "Sexy Red" and shit like that. But we got to realize that we also don't have a formalized education system to the point where, or even a formalized informal education, or a formalized in homeschool situation. So that while there are some black homeschoolers, like we don't have that sort of global influence that we have. So I do think brothers like you, especially since you have such a more compelling voice than mine, right? But brothers like you gotta go and tell people, look, teach your children this, or even what to teach your children. And I can tell you this: I just found yesterday, because of that, there was a really good video on Shoot the Breeze. You guys check out Shoot the Breeze. But there was a really good video on Shoot the Breeze by this guy Comjiverse about it was like a children's video. And so I clicked on it, and there's another children's video, like a whole black African African history series for children. And so I think I'm going to try to see it first, but I'm going to show my son that, But like that's what I'm saying, like what we do for our kids, unfortunately, we don't know. Like we don't know what white people do for their kids. We don't know what black people can do for their kids. But a lot of what it seems like is that for the most part, a lot of black parents are not doing much outside of the public school system. And that's where it really causes problems. Or if they're doing much, it's not really it's like they're calling their kid the N-word or some shit, or they're so on and so forth. Now, there's a lot of positive examples as well. Like I said, I've met tons of positive examples, but there's also like I don't know whether the negative outweighs the positive or not. I don't know. But I also could say even with the positive, a lot of the positive is kind of like you might find parents who are teaching their kid Neely Fuller Jr. You know what I mean? So that's like it's like, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's hard to. That's why it's hard to know. That's why the public school system. That's why the school system is important, and that's why it's important for us to build schools and build institutions, because then you will know what's going on, regardless of what the parent's doing. But as you said, the parent should be the first one. But as far as whether parents are qualified, not that they're not qualified, but as far as like what they can teach their kids. It's also another matter. Because like me, I can teach my kid mathematics and all that kind of stuff, but that's because I have a degree in physics. You know what I mean, right? But like, does everybody have a degree in physics? No. Like very few people have a degree in physics. So anyway, so Real Black Gentleman says, no, sorry. So Organic African Paradigm had another thing. He said, I think he's talking about a system he's called white supremacy, perceives black people and how black people's role in the system. I think he needs to leave America and expand himself. Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Organic African Paradigm. I wish you were right. But like the trouble is that, like I said, I read some of his books, and like I've read from people who've read from him. Like this guy just hates black people. Like he thinks this is the global international system. He thinks white supremacy is like as I don't use the God word. But because I'm not a theist or whatever, but like he pretty much thinks white people are gods on Earth, and it's a little weird, honestly, but like remember that like for the most part, Black Americans and like black people kind of generally are religious and do most black people go to churches with white Jesus. And kind of do believe the white man is a god, so it's not like it's not bizarre, and like obviously, and this is something you would see in Africa, probably. Well, as far as like videos are concerned, you would probably see people like praying to big white statues, including in Haiti, like anywhere really. But like yeah. So Afrojam says he definitely needs to stay in the USA. He wouldn't make it in Burkina Faso. Everybody, please support Burkina Faso. Like that's another run that cash app kind of situation. Burkina Faso the guy right now, Ibrahim Traore, is pretty much Thomas Sankara. Like if you said to yourself, man, I wish there was another Thomas Sankara. I wish I could support Thomas Sankara. I wish blah 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 blah. And it that sounds loony because Thomas Sankara has been gone for 60 years, right? But or not 60, 40 years maybe, right? But this is pretty much his son. Okay, so make sure you guys, whatever you can, like whatever even if it's just promoting the brother, just promote the guy because this is a revolutionary leader. And you might, a lot of people are gonna say, let me look for something bad, let me look for a flaw. Oh, I didn't agree with that. Don't worry about that. Just think it's Thomas Sankara. Just think it's Thomas Sankara. All right. Because the trouble is that a lot of people do not support our leaders, and even when because even if you look into Dr. King, you look into Malcolm X, a lot of black people were not supporting those people either. And we have this kind of problem where we tend to look at them with oh well, if only they were alive today. And it's like, well, look, they are alive today. Ibrahim Traore is alive right now. I don't know how to say his last name, I'm sorry, but he's alive right now. Just support. Organic African Paradigm. We're just gonna read through the comments real quickly. Organic African Paradigm. By the way, that's a good brother, really good brother. Says our lack of organization that is there. Yeah, it all boils down to organization. Anyone or any group who can organize will be naturally successful. Yeah, organization is the key. Organization is the key. Marcus Garvey told us the greatest weapon used against African people is disorganization. Okay? I think he said Negroes or whatever, but you get what I'm saying. The greatest weapon used against African people is disorganization. You one of the biggest problems with any people is going to be who's in any fight. I'll say in any fight, it's the organized that are going to win against the disorganized, and it's just always that. If the example goes, if 3 men want to fight 20 men, but the 20 men fight one at a time, the 3 men are going to win. Right? The 3 men fight 3 at a time, and the 20 men fight one at a time, the 3 men are going to win. Right? But of course, if the 20 men fight 20 at a time against 3 men, then obviously the 3 men are going to lose. Right? And I mean, I'm talking all weaponry equal. Obviously, if you have good weapons, you could fight 20 people. Right? But so Revolution Matrix says, realistically, most parents are not educating their children. Yeah, most parents willingly turn their vulnerable, unprepared, innocent children over to the public fool system, and they don't challenge it. Yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate part. Like, for instance, I could say, as a Jamaican immigrant, if you will, my mother did not she felt like the math was a little too hard, and she was like, I'm not going to help you on that. She actually knew how to speak Spanish, but she was like, you should study yourself. You know what I mean? Don't keep asking for, kind of stuff like that. Which, I mean, it's not really wrong. But I didn't pass Spanish. You know what I mean? I mean, the math thing was kind of crazy. She kind of knew math. She just she went to college, as far as I understand. But she just whatever. So, but a lot of, but I can't speak for African Americans, obviously, because I don't know what it's like to have African American parents. I could say it seems like most are not involved in their children's education, and I'll say that I'm not saying most, but what I mean is this. So when I was in school, there was this thing called tracking, right? Tracking basically was de facto segregation, right? Basically, they have gifted programs and they have non-gifted programs, right? And what they would do in the school, because the gifted classes have more resources. So you're in New York City, you're in the north, right? What they would do is they would put the black students in the non-gifted classes and they'd put the white students in the gifted classes. But they would put token black students into the gifted program and token white students into the non-gifted program. So it's not absolute segregation. You know what I mean? It's like a class of 30 kids, you have 28 white and Asian kids and then 2 black kids. And then in the class of 30, non-gifted kids, you have, 45 black kids and then, 2 white kids, right? And white people would do this, and so on and so forth. But here's the kicker. If you as a black parent really made a case for your child, right, to be in the gifted class, then your child could become one of those token kids, right? So the reason why I said that it seems like a lot of black people were not involved is because for instance, I told my mother, because like one kid who got like worse grades than me, his mother came in and he got into the gifted program, and I told my mother, and she's like, I'm not doing that, pretty much. But yeah, so it's like I could imagine that a lot of kids, because even if I went to like parent teacher conferences and so on and so forth. Now again, that's like I can't tell. I was a kid. Children cannot know what's going on in the minds of adults. Per se, so I don't know. Like, it's very possible that black people are secretly, privately helping their kids get ahead. But as far as I could tell, like, I've seen like some white kids getting tutors and some white kids getting so on and so forth, and a lot of black kids might not have had the equal thing. But I don't know. Like, I can't say. So it would be better if somebody who everybody can only speak for their own experience and from what their own observations, but like America is like 40 million black people, so it's no way anybody can know, but that's really the problem at the end of the day. So revolution, well, not the problem, but you know what I mean. Afrojam says the main thing most do is push Christianity on them. Yeah, I know that a lot of black people go to church, definitely. Real Black Gentleman says gifted, non-gifted, rattle description on point. I can't read that. There's something in the way. Oh, ratio? Is that ratio description on point? Yeah. So yeah. So that's one of the things. I want to get to the funny ones. Let me just skip through this thing. Oh, by the way, let me tell you guys this. This is a real cool trick. You know, on YouTube, you could just hold the mouse button down, and then the video would play at twice speed. That's crazy, right? Of course, you have to hold the mouse button down, which is stupid. And obviously, you could change the settings so that's a little bit more efficient. But it's pretty interesting.
The white supremacists.
Like, I'll do it now.
Well, you look at that real quick. Most black peoples.
Isn't that crazy?
We know that because they teach us that in no uncertain terms. When we really start asserting ourselves and say, "You gonna respect me as a man," and the white supremacists said, "You tell that to other black people, but don't you get in my face ever, boy, and act like you're even thinking like that dealing with me. Now I'll play with you for a little while. I'll laugh and joke with you." But if you get serious and think that you're going to be a man, and when I'm here, because there ain't one man in this house, and when I say house, I mean the entire planet Earth. Anytime you think with your black self, you're going to be a man in my presence, you got another thing coming.
And see, again, you hear he says the entire planet. I know I keep harping on this, but it's just the weirdest thing about, because it's like, if he were just talking about America, like, again, it's not true, but I can understand why he's saying that, because, America is the white man's country, right? If for what it's worth. But this man is not, but of course, the white man doesn't own the entire fucking planet. You know what I mean? The white man owns a certain amount of countries, for sure. And, just like Chinese people, Asian people do, and just like African people do. But this man tells you it's all over the world. And the reason why I want to highlight this is because people listen to this guy and repeat him. This man actually has probably the largest following of all the African American scholars that we know. So the top three that I always say, and I say I'm not really like a fan of all three, because I think all of them kind of punch down and beat up on black people. But the top three are, I think, Neely Fuller. The top three different schools, right, would be Neely Fuller Jr., Malcolm X, and Amos Wilson, right? Now, obviously, you might say, well, what about Dr. King? Okay, Dr. King, sure. But Amos Wilson, so on and so forth, right? And I mean in the black conscious space. So you have Dr. King's ideology is probably bigger, right? But Neely Fuller Jr. is probably the largest of those three that I mentioned, right? And obviously, everybody would say Amos Wilson is probably the better of them, or Malcolm X. But Neely Fuller Jr. is probably the largest one. And he's a whole bunch of people, and what they're going to tell you is, yeah, white people are dominating us all over the planet, everywhere on the planet, everything on the planet, they're the supreme power, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's just not true. If you're in a white person's nation, yes, you are going to be a little bit more limited in mobility, or a little bit more challenged in mobility. But that's like the kind of influence that the white man has in America is not the influence that he has all over the world. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that influence in like China, for instance. And he definitely doesn't have that. And he doesn't have that influence in remoter parts of Africa. Now, you might say, well, what about Dar es Salaam? I didn't really see any white people, honestly. Obviously, like white people do trade with the country. You know, like there's some American trade and something, or maybe some white people might engage with the politicians but like really, you don't really see that kind of like none of the stuff that he's saying really makes any sense if you're talking about, you know, like Dar es Salaam or Tanzania or anything, right? Because like this whole, oh yeah, well he's gonna make us into women. Like you don't find transgenders in Africa, like in that part of Africa where I was at all. Like there were just zero transgenders. There weren't even homosexuals really. Like I think maybe I saw 2 homosexual women couples. Like, and I don't even know if they were homosexuals. They were just holding hands, right? But like that's the most you saw of in terms of homosexuals. There was no men dressing like women. There was just nothing of that sort. Now here in America, yes, especially in New York City, yes, you'll find transgenders like out the wazoo. I don't know so much about the Black South, honestly, but in New York City, oh my gosh, like you can't even like you don't even want to go outside, honestly. But but that's a different thing.
And like I said, I'll play with you, I'll kid around with you, I'll joke with you, I'll play some ball games with you and all like that. Don't you ever think that you're a man. You're a boy, or you can act like your sisters and be a girl, and you ain't got no other choices with me. But you got all kind of choices with your own people. Even though your own people are really not your own people, they're mine too. But you can kill them. You can tell them, ain't nobody gonna disrespect you. Well, you tell that to other black people, boy. But don't you ever even think it. In my presence, you don't even have to say it. Don't you even act like you might be thinking that.
Well, you see, here's the weird thing about this guy, Neely Fuller Jr. You see how long he's talking as the white man? Like, it's one thing to, like, I mean, because everybody does this. You know, if you're talking about, you know, your white people, you might, you know, pretend like you're talking like a white person. But this guy, it's like, he could spend like a good 5 fucking minutes pretending that he's a white man, talking down to black people, you know? And it's just weird. It's just weird. Like how could you spend that long pretending to be a white person?
You gonna find out what the hell is. And you know what? The white supremacists have proven that they can deliver on that message every time. And I don't care who you are, if you're black on this planet. When you really put them to an acid test, they have so far proven that nobody will take them on. Because nobody knows how to. Including Neely Fuller. I'm just trying to find out. I'm in their prison too. I was born in their prison too.
You hear that though, right? This guy does not have any solutions. And of course, remember, China takes on white people, right? China takes on white America. Russia takes on white America, right? Now you might say, well, Russia's white people too. Yeah, true. But everybody else, you know, can and does, right? But yeah, this guy has no solution except for to punch down on black people. And here's the thing too, it's like, why are you punching down on black people for not having a solution if you also don't have a solution? The only difference is that you can make money beating up on black people psychologically, and so you don't like the black people who make money beating up on black people physically. Now, I get that. You know, I get that you don't like the people who beat up on black people physically, but like, and I'm not saying that beating on black people psychologically is not better than beating up on them physically. I'm just saying that, you know, you're not doing anything productive either. You know? But you as an 80-year-old, 90-year-old man, you should have done something productive so that people could think. But instead, what you created was pretty much people who would beat up on black people psychologically for money. And that's kind of like what Brother Bakari was saying in his podcast the other day, which was or yesterday, which was yeah, there are black, like, beating up on black people psychologically is like has a profit motive to it in America.
So to get to the crux of what we're talking about here, what themselves. We're talking about manhood. And it's not going to happen, folks. As long as you have the system of white supremacy in place and not having a system of justice. This is why, rather than run around killing each other, that's not going to help.
I'm gonna listen out loud, bro. Thanks for letting me speak.
Oh yeah. My fault. Yeah. All right. So
Why are you not investing in taxes? No, seriously.
wait, what's that noise? Oh, sorry. What did you say?
I said I'm gonna listen out loud. I said I've been out ripping and running. I ain't been able to talk, but I've been listening, so I'm gonna just listen out loud.
Oh yeah, for sure. This one's a little bit silly. This last one, I just wanted to show you guys this last one because I wanted to shoot the breeze to show this, but it's taking too long. So this is hilarious. This guy is just weird. So, question is, what about homosexuality and lesbianism? And look at this guy. He's gonna. It's an interesting method. I'll put it that way. But so those first two videos, like I said, those are the top two videos. Obviously, it's just a bunch of black hatred. Obviously, it's a bunch of exaggeration. Obviously, whatever. This was actually pretty interesting, though. Pretty funny. And this is the thing about Neely Fuller Jr. It's that he could make you laugh, and that could, make him a little bit more influential. On top of course, beating up on black people psychologically.
What's wrong with variety? What's wrong with diversity? Diverting from one thing to another? Well, maybe nothing, but let's examine it. Examine it for what? To see if it is an improvement over what you already had. And if so, justify it by showing, by example, where's the improvement? Which one of these? See, when you start talking about homosexuality or lesbianism, these are not just abstract words. These are talking about you have to do certain things to qualify. So what are these things that you do? And which one of them is an improvement over what has been done? That's just like a person might come around and say, well, hey, I used to kind of be attracted to people, had several wives and all like that. Even had a little incest, every now and then, And, but I finally came to the conclusion that people ain't where it's at all. I'm in the bear. You say, what do you mean you're in the bear? I'm into bear. I go out in the woods and I chase me down a bear. The bear ain't chasing me no more. I'm chasing him. I have found that that's a wonderful alternative. After all, man, let's face it. Look at these marriages and divorces and whatnot. I don't have no trouble with the bears.
Okay, all right, I can't even hold it, man. What the fuck is he talking about? He's crazy, man.
I just didn't think of anything about bears except just going to the ball game, But I found out that, man, if you really snuggle up to a bear, you'll never want to go back doing nothing else. Now, where'd you get that idea? Well, it just came to me one night. Tired of these women. In fact, people was telling me, well, if you don't like women, get you a man. Well, I'm tired of them, too. So I'm in the bear. See, now you might laugh, but it's going to come to that.
He said it's going to come to that. Yeah, anyway, random. Now, let me look at the comments before I go any further. So, Organic African Paradigm, my brother from another mother, good brother. He says the cure for Brother Carson, what the fuck? Yeah, I thought you left too early, man. Wait, Brother Carson, Organic African Paradigm says the cure for any kind of ignorance is traveling. When you live in America, everything is perceived through skin color. When you go elsewhere, things are different. Tribe, clan takes precedence over skin. Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing that people don't realize. Like skin color. In America, because of its society, it is. That's why a lot of people be like, "Oh, it's black when I get to." Yeah, because skin color. Like when everybody's the same complexion. Well, all right, when everybody's not even the same complexion, but when everybody, like when your skin color doesn't matter, right? Then, like nobody cares. You know what I mean? Or when your skin color is not going to set you too far apart, nobody really cares. But anyway, yeah. Neely Fuller Jr. he's a lunatic for this one. This one's wild. Although I do try his This questioning because he's a lame ass. I'll tell you guys this. I don't know if you guys know this, but his whole thing is not to offer solutions, but to ask questions. You know, like his whole. So like if you find his Foolerites, they will start asking you questions, and they'll say like one of the things he teaches people is to tell them, ask them is to if you're saying something, he'll say. He'll ask you the question of what do you mean. So you're like, yeah, man, I think African people need to. What do you mean by that? What is an African? You know, what is liberation? What is this? What is that? And it's like, shut the fuck up, man. He's a fucking annoying guy. But anyway, yeah, he's hilarious though.
If it ain't already, because there are some people into that. Yeah, they call it what they call it, bestiality. Yes, sir. Yeah, see, I mean, that might be a wholesale thing. In about another 10 years, they say, well, hey, well, you know, this gay and lesbian thing about to lay it out, man, ain't where it's at. You know, man, everybody's trying to preserve the bears now. You know, I'm trying to get me a panda. Now, what is the point that I'm making? It's lots of things that the man can do. The man is extremely inventive and extremely flexible. But the basic question is this type of activity an improvement? And if so, why? Otherwise, why you come around asking black people who don't even have a roof over their head that this is what they should be pushing now? They don't even have a decent school, a decent job. But now
you hear that? Black people don't have a roof over their head, nor a decent school or decent job. You know, and of course, that's not all black people, but you know, it is what it is.
You want them to join the gay rights movement, and that should be their priority. We should drop everything else and make that a priority. I don't see the justification at all.
But see, he's right about why are we going for this movement. But yeah,
they have some white people who came around years ago and started calling it the rainbow. You know, kind of, you might excuse the pun, tailgating Jesse Jackson's rainbow push for civil rights. And then they got to saying, well, what is this all about? And when the question was asked, they answered by saying, well, it's another division of civil rights. Yeah. Yeah. It's all the same thing. Discriminating against gays is the same as discriminating against blacks. And a lot of black people say, wait a minute, it may sound like the same thing, but it ain't the same thing. But they were able to shout all of that down. It is the same thing. Why is it the same thing? Because I said so. White supremacy in action again. Always because I said so. See, but, you know, but that don't, you know, it sounds like it could be right, but it's something that still don't add up. It ain't the same thing.
This guy really be making voices. Like, he really be having whole skits. like it's kind of weird, low-key. I ain't gonna hold you. It's kind of low-key.
It is the same thing. Trust me. No different. Discrimination is discrimination, which is another word that people should pay attention to.
And the weird thing about this guy, too, is this. He changes his voice to be a black person, but he keeps his voice to be a white person. You know? Like, you ever notice that? It's just bad random, you know? But all right.
Everybody discriminates every day. You discriminate when you decide to ride the bicycle to work rather than catch the bus. And does that say that you're discriminating against the bus riders? You know? So that word discrimination, I don't even use it because everybody discriminates. It just means choosing. But what is the key? The key is it a choice that's constructive? When you start talking about black people's plight now, see, that's a different thing altogether. Is it constructive or is it non-constructive? Because it's got to be one or the other. Is it an improvement? Now, we already have a mess with the male-female thing, but you would have that anyway under any system that's unjust.
So I did it.
But now, are you making a bigger mess?
I don't have ad blocker.
Straightening out all the mess that ever was. I have no reason to believe that this is helping to straighten out anything. It's helping to make it worse. particularly when you start doing it right down to the grade school level. Start saying that this is something that, hey, this is just what you children need. You're 7 years old, and this is what I need? I don't even know what sex is yet. Now you're telling me about alternatives to sex. Well, let's start out so that your mind will get straight. Now, Jane has 2 mommies, thinking about getting 3. Now, what benefit is this to Jane? Well, she learns diversity at an early age. Diverting from what to what in order to do what?
Hold on a second. I think I heard a notification. Oh no! It says it's telling me that I was AFK in the away from keyboard. I don't know. Nerd lingo.
Oh well, we'll know when we get there. Don't ask so many questions. Oh no, I got a lot of questions. You know, show me how this is a what improvement. Which one of these acts? See, well, you know, being gay. Don't you understand what being gay used to mean? Being happy. I mean, you know, but that.
Okay, he does change his voice for the white people. But I'm gonna get right and call him ignorant. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He's but you see, he's kind of funny. He seems a little crazy, honestly, because he's doing a whole damn skit. Because remember, this is not like we're looking at it as a cartoon. This is him. Like, I think he has like a radio program that he does maybe like every week or every day. I don't know. But he's like a podcaster, I guess, in a sense, right? And so somebody called, like, real. I'll tell you the truth. You can call this guy on his phone and talk with him. Like, I remember I used to have a blog, right? And there was a sister who had a blog, Diary of a Negress, really good sister, right? She said she would just have phone calls with this guy. She would just call him up, and she could talk to him for like 4 hours, 5 hours. Like he's just an old man who has like no business being spoken to, who's just like speaking and so on and so forth. So this is a cartoonized version of an actual audio interview that he did, but like it wasn't like it like obviously the cartoons just added to the audio. Like, his audio was literally him talking to himself, like, sounding like a fucking lunatic. But, yeah.
That ain't what it means, I don't think, when you say it. So, you're talking about acts. Show me, by demonstration, the very act that you're talking about that's going to be an improvement.
Now, this is weird, right? It would have been a surprise. He's like, show me you... Basically, he's saying, show me you having sex with a man, and he's going to tell you on stage and all that shit, and he's going to watch... and ask questions. He's like, what a creep, man. He's so weird.
And then show me and tell me in words how this is a great improvement. Tell me. You know, first do the act with me looking at you. And then after you finish the act, you'll say, now that's act 1 of being gay. You ain't gay unless you do this. See, you know, there's several things you can do to qualify for being gay. So you got to have qualifications. Otherwise, what's the difference between you and everybody else? If you don't do something different. So you got to do something. So whatever that difference is, you do it. Then you get before, you know, come to the blackboard with the pointer and whatnot, and you say, now, number 1, this is an improvement over whatever it is you all are doing out there. It's not just an alternative. And I'm telling you this because you should be on board for supporting act number 1, which I just demonstrated to you. This is what you actually ask people to do. See, in other words, stop just talking in circles and whatnot and talking in innuendo. Get the crowd there to come and take their seats respectfully. And then march down the aisle and come up to the podium and have your bed up there or whatever it is you're supposed to have. And do what it is that you say that everybody should be taking an interest in and supporting. And then as you do it, you can turn around and face the crowd every now and then. Let's take a little break. Say, now you saw what we just did. Now this is an improvement over what has been because of. And then enumerate the improvements and ask for questions and answers. Because if I'm in the audience, I'm going to say, now, how is that an improvement? I just saw what you did, from start to finish. I sat here and watched it for 15 minutes until you completed it. Didn't say a word. Now I want you to tell me how that's an improvement over what? I think that what I hear is silence. But I don't know. See, because they never get that far.
Man, this guy is such a weirdo, though. Yeah, Organic African Paradigm said he had to go. Yeah, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Afrojam says he cites no sources. It's all weird conjecture. Yeah, I think he one time said he just watches television. Like his main thing is just sit down and watch TV. And I think, look, the trouble is this: a lot of people are like that. A lot of people just sit down and watch TV. A lot of people just sit down and scroll through Instagram. A lot of people just sit down because, like, even people in Africa can tell me about America. They was like, "Oh, I thought in America you guys this or you guys that," and I mean, a lot of it's positive. Like this one sister said, she thought all American. Like she's like, she asked me if I had a degree, and I said, "Why are you asking me that?" She's like, "I thought you had a doctorate." She said, "I said, why are you saying that?" And she goes, "I thought all Americans had." Like we're highly educated type shit, you know. So like a lot of people base their ideas off of social media in a sense, right? So it's not unusual. It's just unusual for like a 90-year-old man to not know any better, you know. Like it's different if he's like 18. If he's 18 and he thinks this way, fine, you know, like okay. But to be 90 years old and think like to be this ignorant is kind of like, come on, it's a little silly. Revolutionary Matrix says your sexual selection is not equal to my status at birth. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, everybody like the that movement is it really. So I don't disagree with him here in the sense of, well, I mean, obviously I wouldn't sit down and watch queers. That's just not something I do. But I wouldn't even recommend people do that. But yeah. But like, yeah, as far as like I don't support that movement per se, you know.
Go around and say supporters.
Hey, can you imagine
Tarated Bombaclat.
Algo with just one solar panel? Now just think about that.
And if you don't support us, oh, you're some kind of demon. You're some kind of anti-something. No, just explain what you're doing. I mean, like the chief. I don't know about that firewater. How is that going to improve me? How is that going to be an improvement over water? Say, well, didn't you get a little buzz when you... Yeah, I got the little buzz and all like that, but is it an improvement? Say, well, didn't the mountains look like you saw two of them instead of one? Wouldn't you like to have an extra mountain? Well, an extra mountain might help, but that's not really what I was looking at. I thought I was. Well, Chief, that's what whiskey does. It makes you drunk. Well, is being drunk an improvement over being sober? Well, if you work at it, see how they talk? And they do the same thing with sex. Now, some people have said they've seen some cartoons of my work on the internet that have been presented. And it pretty well embellishes what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever. People are used to looking at things on screen.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much the entirety of the thing. So that was actually the podcast. But yeah. So you see, Neely Fuller Jr. was praising the guy, hip hop cartoons. We recognized him, but it's actually not a bad idea to have cartoons done of animators. And in fact, I will say this, that a lot of black, like a lot of the older hip hop did play soundtracks of like African lectures, you know? So a lot of times black people were trying to communicate, you know, like positive black messaging in thing. I can't remember. I think it was Ice Cube, and it's not the only example, obviously, but Ice Cube played Dr. Khalid Muhammad right before one of his songs. But like, you know, I remember, in fact, I could tell you this, that I had this white history teacher who was telling us, like, because we didn't know, because like I said, we were young, but he was telling us that hip hop used to be rebel music, you know, like, you know, fight the power type stuff. Now I don't know, right? But I could tell you, yeah, there was you know, anti-drug music, gang violence music, to a large extent, you know, obviously, you know, Queen Latifah and them, and so on and so forth. So definitely, you know, if you can draw or you can animate, you know, consider one of those things. But of course, you know, you got to have some positive, important audio. Oh, and also, you know, shout out to, like I said, Comgyverse. He had this really interesting video of like creation story in Africa type stuff. So you guys check that out. But anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's it. So thanks everybody for coming through. Let me just see if I can scroll up and say everybody. Yeah, we got Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari is reminding everybody that I have a Cash App, so it's $ ABS only. If you guys want to show some love, you guys can show some love that way. Obviously, the pro-black perspective is here. I'm just joking with you guys. It's me. Organic African Paradigm is here. He's a good brother. Really, really excellent scholar. I like researchers. And so this brother is very he's a researcher, so I gotta respect him for that. Revolutionary Matron is here. Shout out to Revolutionary Matron. She's reading the Chancellor Williams books and a whole bunch of other books, but she came back. So you guys make sure you guys subscribe and all that kind of stuff. You got Afro Jam, real scholar, right? He's a scholar. He knows his stuff. Kid Down 7. This brother's almost always correct. Just let's if you want to know about ideology, you got to know Kid Down 7. Real Black Gentleman. Already know that's my brother RBG. And he's also sometimes with us on Shoot the Breeze. So you guys gotta show some respect. But besides from that, yeah, that's it. That's everybody, and I appreciate everybody for coming through. Thank you for your time, and of course, Shemim Hotep, Uncle Jas, and Neb. I'm in Ma'at Dua Nature.